What's going on, everybody? How are y'all doing? Oh, we got some people in here already. We got Outsider Gaming Night, RPG 88, Nelson Gaming 12, GameLogIQ, who is on the panel tonight, Josh Ayers, and that is it so far. Thank y'all so much for showing up. Hey guys, it has been a week. We got some fun stuff to talk about tonight, guys. A lot of gaming stuff. We got The Witcher DLC is coming. We're about to get a first look at it, so that's going to be really cool. We're going to get like a gameplay trailer at an upcoming show, so that's going to be great. Bethesda is narrowing their focus, all on their own accord, not because they're terrified and not because they're worried of being shut down, but because they want to provide us with the best games imaginable. They are going to be giving us another Obsidian Fallout game, Fallout 3, sorry, not Fallout 3, Fallout 5, and Elder Scrolls 6, and then more stuff on Starfield. Ton of stuff is coming, and it's going to be, we're going to talk about that. See if is it enough? Is it enough? Is Creation Engine 3 going to be enough? So we're going to discuss that. I'm not a huge Bethesda fan, but I know GameLogIQ has played Bethesda games and knows a lot about that studio and that area. So then also we are going to talk about Marvel's Wolverine that is coming out. I'll be honest, I am excited about this game, but it's almost to the point where there's too much. It's just too much. There's too much press on it, and there's just too much. And so like it's almost to where like I have 3 of my top games coming out over the next 6 months or until the end of the year. And this is one of them, right? I have Wolverine, Ace Combat, and Final Fantasy Resonance. And like it really, if Kina comes out and it's like, hey, Kina's dropping in September, it might end up getting Wolverine bumped a little bit. But I still love the character. He's still my favorite. It's just the game is losing steam for me pretty quickly, which is weird because I've been all over this game since it was revealed. So anyways, we'll discuss that a little bit. Logic and I were kind of talking about Wolverine, like comic book Wolverine, and how it may bleed into this and all that a little bit before the show. And then also Hasbro has a $56 million non-cash write-down this quarter related to video game capital losses. And so they are closing a ton of things. They are stopping a lot of projects, and they too are narrowing their focus. Good news, though, is, and as we'll get into, this has nothing to do or is not going to affect Exodus at all. Exodus is actually one of the 4 major projects that they have narrowed their focus with, or to. And so, yeah, so we're going to discuss that a bit. And it's pretty interesting, and this is the kind of the thing that I want to pull a bit on this, is because I find it interesting that we have companies, take Amazon, for example. Amazon came in, made a couple games, didn't do really well. They got out of gaming for a little bit. Now they're back in gaming, and it looks like they're doing a lot better. You have companies that seemingly try to enter this space, and they may be doing it for the first time. And you're almost like, okay, you got to wait for the first little bit to go by, and then after that goes by, then they'll on the next run, then they'll get it right. So Hasbro used to make, Wizards of the Coast used to do video games, a lot of them. And then, not a lot of them, but those fell off. And they stopped backing the projects and all of that. Well, then Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro then do Baldur's Gate 3. So they come back, they try it again. Well, with the success of Baldur's Gate 3, it makes them think, hey, I can do this better. And then they dive in head first, and now they're already cutting losses. So, is Luna doing good? No, but their gaming division is. But so we're going to talk about that a bit, because I think there's something interesting to be said there about the learning curve that it takes to get into gaming. And then, my goodness, Xbox backwards compatibility on PC. They are getting ready for a PC hybrid type console that's not a console, but it's a PC, and they're getting you prepped, and they're starting right now, and at least this way they're using lube. So we are going to talk about that a bit. With all of that, though, guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to bring Logic in here. He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend. If I can time this just right, it'll be really cool, and of course I can't because I am who I am. Here we go. The man, the myth, the legend, GameLogIQ. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I wouldn't give me all that praise. I've been I'm one of the bad guys these days. So totally understandable, but you know.
Why are you one of the bad guys? We have bad guys now that aren't named Colt Eastwood. Why are you one of the bad guys?
I mean, that's what all of gaming is it's gaming social justice and gaming moral justice, and I'm one of the bad guys. So.
Oh.
But I enjoy being here, man. I love talking about games.
How are you going to lead in with that and then follow it off with, but I love being here. This is great. This whole landscape sucks. I'm just here. But hey, it's great. It's fantastic. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as when the Xbox guys and I would go at it, and I would change my profile picture to Raymond Reddington from The Blacklist.
I love that show. I love that show. I have seen it twice all the way through, and the last 2 seasons still confuse the shit out of me. It is so good. Perfect writing and a wonderful commentary on the way I fully believe government is actually ran. Like people ever ask, why are you a conspiracy theorist and why don't you trust the government? I will point them to that television series and just say, watch. God, it was so good. Was that Megan Booth, I think? That's the only thing she's been in.
I can't remember her last name. Yeah. I think that's what was it, Boone?
Boone. That's it.
Boone? Yeah.
That's it. That was the only thing I think she was in. And I think she just got tired of acting. She was like, the days are long and I don't want to do it. But anyways, I feel like a bad guy as well. Josh, you are a bad guy. You're from Australia. That's like if you're a bad guy, you're either from England or Australia. You got to have one of the two. Rachie says, I am playing Dispatch on Amazon Luna. Steven Leon says, I'm gaming Gen X. I don't give a fuck. I will be the enemy you will hate. Be the enemy. See, you're in good friends and good company. That's fine. I'm not passionate enough, and I don't give a shit enough to waste one more iota of energy. So tonight we're gonna talk about the actual games that are coming out. And my goodness, we have a ton. If you follow the channel, if you pay attention to the community board on there, which doesn't get used as much as it should, that's my fault. The Commonwealth is the real bad guy. Hear, hear. Damn the man. Save the empire. Then you would have seen that I asked you, and I also asked in the Discord, what are your top 3 games that you want to purchase or that you're looking forward to coming out over the next 6 months? And it seems to be a good mix of Blood of the Dawnwalker, Final Fantasy Resonance, Beast of Reincarnation, and there was one more. What was the other one? Ace Combat 8. I don't believe I forgot that one. And like, really cool seeing all of that. And so tonight, we're covering a lot of stuff related to gaming. Games coming out, DLCs coming out, new directions for studios in gaming, and what games they'll be revealing, not what CEO decided to leave. Even though, funny enough, CEOs deciding to leave what seemingly appears to be like a couple weeks after they got hired, that's kind of funny. But, and I don't even know if he was a CEO. I just saw something, and my timeline might be fucked up because I just saw something on X.
He was the chief of technology and something or other.
And
but he was supposed to be the head guy.
Last May.
What's that?
Did he start this May or last May? Because that's the part
he just got brought. He was one of Ash's AI poaches from the from the AI team at Microsoft. Well, I say poaches, either poaches or that division is about to get slashed also, and so she picked up a few people before they were also laid off, which is what I strongly suspected. That like you don't just move a bunch of executives and just totally raise a whole department of executives unless something is coming and they're planning on cranking that division down, which I suspect is the case given that they have very little foothold and traction in AI, and they're having to pay Anthropic to use their AI capability because Anthropic is ahead of them, and Copilot has been a bust. But yeah, he was like the chief of technology and something else or other. But yeah, again, he's one of the people that I mentioned that I'm like, again, you talk about the duplicity in the messages she puts out. Oh, I'm going to, 14 layers of management. I'm going to reduce, all these supervisors. But hey, I'm bringing all my AI buddies over from the other division and making them all executives. So, I'm like, great, you're going to get rid of 14 layers of management, but yet you're going to stuff the C-suite with, with your buddies and hire Matthew Ball, to be a strategy for a gaming division that is 50% of its headcount from after the acquisition. There's lots of backtracking, double speak, mince mouth like things that I just like. I don't get how people are not tracking that. This is just a long con. This is like it's like she and her executives are like Ocean's 11. Somebody's about to get heisted.
Which one's Matt Damon? That's
I'll have to go through my casting wheel to figure out which one's Matt Damon,
which one's Don Cheadle. I need to know who's Don Cheadle. Sorry, I'm now picturing. So, do you remember when I think it's in the second one when Don Cheadle's in the underground thing that's like producing like a earthquake or a seismic activity or whatnot? Do you remember that scene where it had? And I'm trying to picture like whose face goes with what. Like, is that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't remember a ton about that. Is that the one where his character has a British accent?
Yes, and he talks about he says it's Barney. It's Barney. And they go, "What? Barney? What's that?" Barney, rubble, trouble. I love those fucking movies so much. Yeah. Those and the National Treasure movies are just I can pop a bag of popcorn and just sit there, just watch them. I don't even care.
Have you seen? I've been meaning to watch this and I haven't. Have you seen I think it's Krasinski and Emily Blunt one where it's like a National Treasure clone. I want to say.
No.
I thought I say Emily Blunt because that's his wife, but she may not be the co-star on that. But like it's
I like John Krasinski though.
Yeah,
I like him a
lot. We were just watching. What were we watching? We just got done watching. Not just got done, but like in the last week, got done watching Doctor Strange and in the Multiverse of Madness. And of course, Krasinski's in there as A. Reed Richards.
Place? That's the one where he was with his wife Emily Blunt.
Right, that's the horror flick. But I thought he did something. He did Fountain of Youth. That's what it says.
Oh, there it is. Yep, Natalie Portman in the Guy Ritchie
directed film. Yeah.
Oh, pretty good.
So I haven't watched it yet, but my interest is piqued because, well, I guess it's an Apple TV Plus show, or movie. Oh. So that's one reason, but also because it looks like a National Treasure setup. Like he's a treasure hunter or whatever, seeking the Fountain of Youth.
Okay, so
it's super hilarious, and I'm sorry, I'm somewhat ridiculously OCD about like knowing like every actor that pops up in a movie, not knowing them, right? But I'm watching the preview roll for Fountain of Youth, and a guy pops up. We also just got done watching the Miss Marvel series, and he's the damage control dude who pops up in Miss Marvel, who when I looked at him I was like, that is the dude from Spider-Man, I think No Way Home, when they out his identity and the damage control guys come to pick him up, and he's the guy roving around the rooms like interrogating the people, so he's like a recurring character in the MCU now. So anyway, just quirks of useless information that I keep track of. for some reason.
Okay, so let's get. This is really funny. I don't even know if I want to get to the actual question for tonight. Okay, so we might get to the question for tonight. If not, we'll keep it up for next week. But it comes from a conversation that Logic and I were actually having, and it made me think of it as a great topic for everybody. But with all the talk about TV shows and stuff like that, Spider-Man: A Brand New Day comes out like in 6 days, and I could not be more excited about going to actually see a movie in the theater since Maverick, which is by far my favorite theater experience that I've ever had. Like, I can't wait. And my buddy has a not my buddy, who was it? Was it Josh? Was it Josh that said this? I may be making this up, but I think Josh and I were talking about this last night, and he said that he thinks MJ dies in this one. I think it was Josh. If not, I was talking to another buddy of mine, and he had said he thinks MJ dies in this one because when you look at the one of the movie posters, you actually see MJ in the reflection of the lens, just like you did Gwen Stacy in Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man. So, like, I'll be honest, man, if they kill off Zendaya, I might riot. Like, I might effing riot.
It wouldn't surprise me if they did. And again, I don't know anything. I don't, because I don't follow spoilers and all this. I actually try, like, this close to an MCU movie, I definitely, like, try and go on media and social media blackout, so I don't, like, learn anything. But it wouldn't surprise me because as an actress, first, she's just getting shit all tons of work. She's one of the few actresses that I might actually say, I don't know that she needs an MCU paycheck. But so she's getting shit all tons of work. Being in those movies means she and Tom Holland are together like all the time, with like not doing their own projects because like they're together so much. Minor issue. But the other thing is, she has never presented to me like someone who is like I just don't feel like she's built like a franchise actress like the MCU is, where you're expected to be around for like 10, 12, 13 movies. So it wouldn't surprise me. And quite honestly, I don't know how much longer Holland is in that role.
Oh, dog, I think he has 2 more in him. I think he has this one and 1 more, and then I think he's out.
Okay.
I will say, I think he has the ability, because of his size and how much he doesn't age, he could play it for longer. But I don't know, man. Especially if she leaves the series, since they are still together, and they spend like a ton of time together. Like, if you listen to them, they're a lot of times they're at each other's press releases. Like, they spend as much time with each other as they possibly can. I
mean, they just shot the Odyssey together, right? Which means they were on location together, like all the time. Like,
and then
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but before the Odyssey, they were on the set of Spider-Man the whole time. So like right. I don't know. I see them being together a lot. Are they married? I don't know if they're married.
Yeah, they're married.
Are they married now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that they were married already. When the hell did that happen?
Which is fine. I mean that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, they're like, and it's not about I'm like together with you all the time. It's that I'm together with you all the time professionally, to the point where, like, look, I mean, I don't know how many other people are married, but like married people got shit to do, like, and cover down on. And like, if we're both working in the exact same place at the exact same time, like, who's making sure the dog gets to the vet, and all this kind of other logistic stuff. So obviously they have assistants and handlers, I'm sure. Absolutely. But my point is, like, again, even as a married couple, I don't know that they need to be, like, working together all the time,
I'm sorry. All I heard was one of them looking at you going, dog, I could just hey, listen, can you go pick up Fido from the vet? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Click. Like, they got, they got people. Like, what do you... It's not like you and me. Shit. If my wife calls me and goes, hey, honey, I'm down with a migraine. I can't watch the kids. You need to come home. Cool. I got to go home. Like...
I'm sure they're thinking about things like, I mean, maybe they're thinking about things like starting a family and stuff like that, which again is tough to do if you're all both on the exact same movies like all the time.
Well, and you can see that also, and this, I know this is not gaming, but we're going to use this Marvel tie-in to talk about the new Wolverine game. So just bear with me. We're going to get there. But it's like Blake Lively and Ryan
Reynolds.
Like, they are with each other all the time when they're not filming. They usually don't go to each other's sets anymore. They don't do that. They kind of none of that. They just do their own thing. She's usually at home with the kids, and then when she's going to film, he's at home with the kids.
Right, and that's kind of the paradigm, like the arrangement that I'm thinking, probably eventually they want to get to.
Yeah, and that's like there's a couple. That sounds weird to say, but there's a few couples in Hollywood who like you can actually look at and go, okay, they're not complete wingnuts. Awesome. Like they actually seem to just be two people who are good at acting who ended up married. Got it. Like, but most of them are wildly nuts. Spin the prequel comic. Ooh. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate that. Josh has put, there is a prequel comic that you can get from Insomniac for Wolverine. So that's kind of neat. If you're in the Discord, he posted it in the Discord so you can see that. If you want to join the Discord, there's a link in the description below. The link will be good for 30 days and then it goes bye-bye. Because I'm tired of bots joining the Discord all the damn time. It's annoying. So yeah, look at this. You can go over here. It's on Insomniac Games X. You can check it right there. I'll share this out real quick. That's really cool. I'm going to read that. Not like right now. Let me just repost it and then we'll be good. I really want to put this is cool ... but it's digital. Sorry. just to see. Just to see what happens. Okay, so let's see what we're doing here. That's good. Family first, how it should be. Oh shit, the prequel's coming. Comic bots or bots. Jesus. Did MJ get that other? Who? Did MJ get that other black girl fired after Homecoming? Oh, she was just one of Peter's mini love interests. Like that, she wasn't nothing.
Yeah, she's not even, as far as I know, she's not even like a regular standing character in the comics. She was just a made up,
Yeah, she added a relationship dynamic there for the cat and mouse between him and MJ.
Well, and I think she was like the decoy, right? She was like, she was the love interest to make you not think that, because we don't even know that she's called MJ until the end of the first movie, right?
No, we don't know that her name is Michelle. She's not Mary Jane. Okay. She's Michelle something. Right.
But yeah, my point is, I don't think there was ever an intention for that actress to be long term in the movies. Like you don't cast Zendaya right to not be a main thing, right, in a movie franchise.
Right. Like, okay, so her name is Michelle Jones. They named her Michelle Jones as an iteration of the more traditional Mary Jane Watson.
Right.
So there you go. That's so not MJ. She is MJ. Shut up. She is. There are two options in my life for MJ. I almost said Mary Jane, but for MJ, one of them is pasty white with red hair from the 1990s cartoon. The other one is Zendaya. Kirsten Dunst kind of gets left out in the cold. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we recently watched. So, before we were going to watch No Way Home, everybody insisted, not everybody, but lots of people insisted on watching the Sam Raimi and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, right? Because, of course, they're in No Way Home. And I like Kirsten Dunst does not age well as Mary Jane. I like, as that franchise went on, I just got like, I think I remember being excited like that she was Mary Jane in the first movie, but like 20 plus years later, I'm watching those and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
She's
thought of
awful.
like much better casting. Yeah.
Mary Jane Watson being a mediocre actress in the movies, being played by a mediocre actress, should not be missed. Like, it just really shouldn't.
Well, and I'm like, look, I mean, Kirsten Dunst isn't, by my standards, isn't like she's not like a 4, but I mean, Mary Jane is a supermodel in the comics, right? Right. I mean, she's supposed to be somebody who Peter Parker winds up with, and you're like, and in the comics, you're like, how the hell did he wind up with her? That is not Kirsten Dunst. Like, yeah. There are some 8s, 9s, and 10s in Hollywood, right, that could have been cast for that role.
Yeah. Funny enough, the one they cast as Gwen Stacy would have been a perfect MJ because she pulls off red hair extremely well.
What's funny?
Emma Stone.
No. There was it was Bryce Dallas Howard, so it's Ron Howard's kid.
Wait a second.
So it's
Stacy Gwen.
Sorry. So I'm talking about the Gwen Stacy in the Sam Raimi movies. Yes, Gwen Stacy in the Andrew Garfield movies is Emma Stone.
That's what I meant. Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and she's a much more vivacious love interest for.
She had personality and depth. Holy
she's a much better actress.
She could act. That's
much better actress.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, holy shit, she can act.
Like Bonga, better actress.
Oh, man. Anyways, so...
But just to wrap up, so Bryce Dallas Howard, it's funny because of course I go back and watch it, and now, like, I think we all know who Bryce Dallas Howard is, but back then, like she's a no one. She's not a known actress back in that time when she's cast as Gwen Stacy. So I'm going back and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So with that being said, we did get some information. We're going to talk about some games, damn it. We did get some information about Wolverine. And it's going to be taking place at a point when the X-Men don't exist, which sent me down a rabbit hole. Because if you know anything about Wolverine and the X-Men go together like peanut butter and jelly. And so it sent me down a rabbit hole that I was like, man, this is messed up. And I was telling Logic this. I was like, this is messed up, dude. That uniform came from him with the X-Men. He wore it when he was with the X-Men early on. Blah, blah, blah. Then it got changed to black. They could possibly do a timeline where it's like X-Force when you get the gray and the black, or when he uses the burnt orange and the brown that later becomes Damian's costume. Like, I was like, man, they could do so much. And then I stick my foot in my mouth because I Google. Everybody should Google before they open their mouth. At least do a little bit of research. So I Google it, and I find out that he actually appeared in 1974 in the original Yellow and Black before he joined the X-Men in 1975. So, canonically accurate still. I don't have to lose my ever-loving mind because continuity is something that I like. So if not, I want it explained. Like, is it a different universe? Are we on a different Earth? Like whatnot. Like, I'm okay with things being a little different. Like Pedro Pascal being Reed Richards. I'm okay with that because they explain it by it being a different timeline. And so I'm fine with that. But like, if you're going to say it's part of the Spider-Man world and part of this, but the X-Men don't exist yet, I need to know when we're doing this. Anyways, I'm a bit neurotic when it comes to this stuff. So it does say that it's happening before the X-Men, before any of that happens. He will be working for Team X, a Black Ops group inspired by a team from the comics for fighting for mutant survival. So he did work with Task Force X, and he was part of the Weapon X team, and Team X could either be X-Force, or I'm sorry, it could be the Weapon X program, or it could be some early version of X-Force. Either way, they are going to be able to pull from so much, because Wolverine's history, we've already seen we're going to Japan, and Wolverine's history takes place in Japan normally. Like, he always goes there a little bit after Weapon X. And I guess what I'm trying to say is all of his origins lead to X-Force, or they lead to the X-Men, or they lead to destination wherever. Team X, X-Men, Logic mentioned it in the pre-show, Alpha Flight. And so he has like a really cool origin story. And I think that's what we're going to get to explore here, and kind of a different side of it, or a different take on it. So I am, I'm sorry. My bad. X-Force. I'm sorry. Task Force X, the suicide. My bad. That's my fault. I apologize. Oh, that's so out of whack. What do you mean that's so out of whack? No, it's not. All right, Logic, what do you think? What are you hoping for? What storylines do you think they pull from, or do you hope they pull from here?
I'm not really. So I am a big comic book person, but I'm not. I'm going to assert that I'm not a purist. I think my mistake when I say that is then there are some things that I am a purist about. But by and large, like storylines, I'm not a purist about. Like I don't necessarily care if they change a storyline. I don't necessarily care if they like character swap. I don't necessarily care if they make differences or if they like switch. In the comics it happened to this character, but in the movie or the game or whatever, it happened to that character. So they can do whatever. I will say the one thing that does bug me is it bugs me when they call a thing that is not a thing. I don't like that the MCU movie was called Civil War, because that wasn't Civil War, and like you name it Civil War. People are always like, well, they called it Civil War so that the comic book fans would know that it was important or whatever. I'm like, the freaking comic book fans were already going. Like, you could have called it whatever. They were going to go. Like
call it Captain America v Iron Man. I'm there.
Right. Yeah, and on top of that, it was basically an Avengers movie. So I don't, it was. It's just totally kind of silly rationale when I get into that conversation with people. And then I'm like, you name it something so that non-comic book fans know that they can go, and they don't know what Civil War is. So it's like it doesn't signify anything significant to them. So like things like that. So I get bothered when we do the DC EU and recreate everything, and I'm like, dude, you guys have had the Berlanti-verse going for 5 years, and it's on fire, and there's crossovers, and you've done Crisis on Infinite Earths, but that's not good. None of those characters can appear in the movie, and you're going to start over and do everything. I'm like, you already have a Green Arrow. What are you doing? So at any rate,
Stephen Amell doing season 8 should tell them that he will do anything for money. It's
crazy now. He's going to be the main dude on Baywatch, on the Baywatch reboot.
God, how far have we fallen from my boy? What did they do to you?
So it's hilarious. I also have some people in the house who were watching Teen Wolf, which I watched a little bit of. I did not realize literally half the main characters out of the Berlanti verse came out of Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
And actually the preacher who was wound up on The Walking Dead also showed up on as a main character, as a supporting character on Teen Wolf. But at any rate, so storylines, I don't really care. I'm up for whatever. The Spider-Man. The Spider-Man Miles Morales, that has bits and pieces of real storylines, but then also does its own thing. So, real storylines meaning from the comic book. So they can do whatever. I just love the nods, to the comics. in that you can, you can put pieces together, like the lore is there, but it is also kind of its own thing. I think the thing I would be most interested in, given the setup for this, is if you do see anything that crosses over. I mean, since Spider-Man and Wolverine are supposed to be in this world, if you do see any type of crossover from, content that we've seen before in the Spider-Man games, to link that continuity.
So I don't know how they're going to get there. I want two things from this game. And if I get one of them, I'll be stoked. If I get both of them, I will be through the roof. First one is I would love to see some sort of Easter egg or hint or something later on in the game, flash forward, flash back, however they have to do it for X-23. I think that would be sick. I don't know if we'll get it, but that would be freaking awesome. And the second, I think the game ends with him at the doorstep of Xavier's School for Gifted Children. I think that's how this game ends.
Okay, I'm going to differ with you there only because this is a lore thing that I get angry about. Like I'm very angry that there has yet to be, that Alpha Flight has never gotten its due. I would rather him wrap this up on the door of Alpha Flight.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
The only person I even halfway remember from Alpha Flight is Aurora. And that's it.
Yeah, Aurora, her brother, North Star, Sasquatch, Snowbird, Shaman, Talisman.
See, you know a lot more than I do about Alpha Flight.
Yeah. Heather Hudson and Guardian and Vindicator, depending on, where,
dude,
when you're going to set it. Yeah, and Puck. Yes. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah. Like I would just love to see that,
Okay.
But that's just me. That's just me. It's a deep cut because they've never, like, I think they do show up. Maybe they show up on an older X-Men cartoon.
I think they might. I think that's how I know
basically,
Aurora.
I'll just say it this way: like they've never shown up in a cartoon. They've never shown up, in live action. They've obviously never shown up in the MCU.
Whoa. Hero said Sasquatch is in the game.
Oh, really? Huh.
All right. Well, no more. I don't want to know.
Right.
So it is stuff like this, though, that makes me super excited for Wolverine. I have been a Wolverine fan for a long, long time. He's always been my favorite character. I thought it was Wendigo, but that's neither here nor there. And so I'm excited to see what they do with it. Some of the things I've seen, I'll be dead honest, the animation looks a little flat to me. And I'm interested to see how fresh the combat feels from Spider-Man and how it differs or whatnot. But also him and the cowl looks a little, something about it just looks off. Like in cutscenes, his movements, I don't know what it is. Something just looks off. I was talking to somebody about that last week. And so I am excited to see the story because I think Wolverine has some of the best storylines ever, especially the stuff they do in Japan. So I'm super happy we're getting to go there. Rogue is my favorite X-Men. I like Rogue. She's brutally strong. I need them to find a cure for her because I need her and my boy Gambit to be fine.
Oh, they're together. I think she has been cured. So in the most recent X-Men storylines, which the one they're in is the one being written by Gail Simone, I believe, where the Xavier has died. The X-Men factions have split. There's one team down in New Orleans, and there's another one in Alaska, I think. So Rogue has a team in New Orleans. She's got Wolverine, Gambit, Jubilee, and maybe one other person. And then Scott is up in Alaska, and he's got Magneto, I think the Beast, Psylocke, and then a bunch of like new newer X-Men who have who've been in the comics, but like, aren't like big, players. But that's a split. And then in the ones in New Orleans, they've also been joined by like a new cadre of like 4 or 5 like new kid mutants. So yeah, yes, she and Gambit are married.
Okay.
And I believe she has been cured, so they can actually touch.
That's good, because like you said, married people do married things, and so like, that sucks.
Especially in the X-Men. Yeah. So I don't know if you knew this, but gosh, the guys. I think it was Chris Claremont, and maybe I don't think Bill Sienkiewicz was part of it, but it was definitely Chris Claremont, and there were some like super hippie, like swinger, like into really odd sexual shit, like creators at Marvel during the 80s when those guys had the X-Men and Bill, Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz started the New Mutants, and that history has seemed to recur in the X-Men like desk of creators, and so that is why there's always like some freaky sexual shit going on in thing like there was a not too long ago storyline, maybe a couple of years ago, where like it was weird. It was like Scott, Havoc, Madeline, and Jean, and I can't remember who was who, but basically it was like the 4 of them, and like obviously the 2 of them had been lovers with the other 2 at some point, and like there's a scene where like one of them walks into the room where the other 2 are like naked. There's always something freaky going on in the X-Men. Always something freaky. Always some weird stuff.
It is a college dorm style team. Let's just.
Oh yeah, well that's the other thing. When you go back through the history of like they've literally like all of them have slept with each other, at some point.
Okay, so Rachie said, "Do you really have faith they will follow the lore?" I do. They have done. Insomniac has done really well following the lore, actually, and bending it to make it their own. So much so that they didn't have to get, as far as I understood, they didn't have to get anything approved from Marvel on Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 1, they had to get pretty much everything approved, reapproved, every change, everything. After Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, they were way more hands-off, and then by the time Spider-Man 2 came out, they had carte blanche to do whatever the heck they wanted, because Marvel trusted them with the IP.
Well, part of the problem is like when you say follow the lore, I mean the lore of Wolverine, of Logan, and the X-Men is just all over the place. It's the multiple timelines, it's the time travel. It's like this thing that I just said about like Scott Summers has a team in Alaska. Like I've been reading that, I was reading that comic for probably the better part of a year. I do not know to this day which Scott Summers he is. I don't know if he's the original Scott Summers. I don't think he is, because I think that one got killed. So I guess he's the Scott Summers they went back in time to go get and pull forward into the timeline. And he was young, but he's like aged up for you. Like it's just crazy and insane. And so when you talk about like the lore of Logan, it's like, depending on where you are in the comics, like sometimes Sabretooth is his brother, but like in other ones he's not. Sometimes Mystique is his mother, but at other times she's not. So it's like they can kind of almost do whatever, and they are to some extent probably going to be following some lore, of some timeline. There's Old Man Logan, there's Logan Goes to Hell. Like it's insane,
There's a timeline where Logan never meets the X-Men, ever. There's a timeline where that happens. It's very funny when you start getting, because my dad is who got me into comics, and I learned really quick. There used to be comic book collectible cards for DC, and there were 3 tiers: Golden Age, Silver Age, and Modern Age, I believe, or Golden Age, Bronze Age, and Silver Age. And you could collect cards from each one of the ages. And so like you would have a Flash, but it would be a golden era Flash with the big helmet with the wings, little tiny wings on the side of it. And
the Flashes from those eras are like completely like, now you got me going. DC's even, I mean, you could argue worse in some way. Okay, here's my number. DC's crazy, because like all those Flashes you're about to mention, number one, they're all different people. Number two, a thing that pisses GameLogIQ off, it pisses me off that a bunch of you dudes who are out there think that the Flash is, gosh, now I can't even remember.
Barry Allen?
Is Wally West.
Oh,
No,
yeah, no.
the
Fuck
Flash
you.
is not
Sorry,
Wally West.
Not you. Fuck them.
Right.
Fuck people who think that.
Right. The Flash is Barry Allen, but like the reality is like from Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was the 80s, Barry Allen is not in the DC universe. He's not in the DC universe for like 15 years or something like that before they bring him back in one of the moments when they reboot the DC universe. So it took me a while. I was like, why are all these people talking about the Flash? Why are all these people pissed that like the Flash is Barry? And I realized like, there's literally a generation of adults who for them, Wally West is the Flash.
Hold. Pause.
Yeah.
We're not going to pass that like you said that. Hang on. We're going to go backwards. Because I outside of Batman, I do not read DC comics. I just don't. I don't like the comics from DC. I like their Batman stuff, and I like some of the Superman stuff where he gets killed, sent back down as Blue Spider-Man with lightning powers. That was kind of fun. But most of the DC information I have is from the animated stuff in the 90s and now. So,
which was the best animated, because Marvel animated actually, because unlike it's the opposite, like the MCU great movies, DC movies not good movies. Yeah. But animated, the DC stuff is the best.
Yeah, 100%.
Go ahead.
No argument there. And I will fight you. I'll even say no, I won't fight you. Animated DC is best. Berlantiverse is second. And then DCEU is just, no. I don't even want to rank them. Anyways, what was I saying? Shit, I had something.
Something about Barry Allen and Wally West was what got you started.
Yes. Sorry. So all I'd ever known is the Flash as Barry Allen. My dad then told me about, no, you had Golden Age Flash, which was Jay Garrick. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay,
which
cool.
was he was part of the Justice Society of America. So he's the guy with the Mercury wings on the helmet. Yeah.
Yes. And so when I saw Wally West for the first time, it was in the DC or the Berlantiverse Flash. I had never really known who Wally West was, and you're saying this fool came out in the 80s?
Wally West. So of course the thing of the shtick in the DC universe, and it's a thing that like I give a nod to, but I hate, is like all of them have sidekicks, and all of their sidekicks are generally like the name of the superhero and Junior or our little or kid, whatever. So Wally West was Kid Flash, right? When he came out, and he is he's like Barry Allen's like wife's nephew or something like that. So he is Kid Flash. He's the Flash sidekick. But here's the kicker, and here's where the other place I was going. So you have all this stuff in DC, right? You have all of these there's multiple Earths. So Marvel has like the 616 has gotten to a point where now it has universes. It has the 616 universe, like all these, the 818 universe, all these different universes. And so they have, but DC actually had the multiverse first. And so there was Earth Prime, Earth 2, Earth 12, Earth 11, right?
Yeah.
And there were different versions of the heroes like on all of these planets. And so like on one Earth, Batman is actually Thomas Wayne.
Yes.
It's actually Bruce who gets killed as a kid. But at any rate, so over time, all of these things diverged and got really messy, right? You had the Justice Society of America, the Justice League of America, you had the Legion of Superheroes. You have all this stuff. And so DC, I was proud of them for a moment in time. DC actually said, we're going to fix this. We are going to clean this up. And so they did this huge event called Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yep. And they cleaned everything up. And in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Flash is one of the characters he's the main character who sacrifices himself. I think Supergirl also is a casualty then. But Flash is like the main guy who sacrifices himself. Wally West is actually the Flash for 26 years, from 1986 to 2009.
Holy shit.
So that's okay. Yes, so that's where I go to. There's a span of 23 years, and anybody who got into comics at that time, Wally West was the Flash.
So there's going to be okay. So wow, bringing it back to the Wolverine game, there's going to be a good swath of people who only know Hugh Jackman's Wolverine,
right,
and don't really F with like the comics or the story or or they know the Deadpool Wolverine jokes and like
and for starters, think that Wolverine is tall.
That's okay. So listen, I was probably early 20s when I actually found out that he was like short as all get out. Like,
yep.
I didn't realize that at all. And so I can't say anything. The Thomas Wayne Batman was an absolute murderer. He was a surgeon and he would do all kinds of stuff to criminals and not Canadian. That's from Flashpoint. Yeah, they tried to fix it. Wally West was around forever. See, I didn't realize that. Okay, so that's kind of what I think. I actually, I know I talked earlier about how like the graphics of it are kind of flat for me, and I don't like the way he looks and the way his character like just moves. I love the way the combat looks, but the way his character moves, getting from point A to point B, just looks a bit like he's got a stick up his ass. And I don't know why it looks like that. Like, he looks tense and tight the whole time. And so that could just be the way the suit is like making him look. I don't know. But
well,
as far as
he's really, it's a really weird thing, right? And I mean, you could look at what is whatever aesthetic and like, you know, kinesthetic that Insomniac comes up with as a genius or a failure. But so Wolverine's weird, right? He's 300 pounds. His bones are coated with adamantium, right? So he's not like a light on his feet character, yet he is incredibly agile. So, but he's not a gymnast. So it's like, how do you characterize that in the game, you know? And so it's weird. He's a bruiser, right, from a weight perspective, but he's incredibly agile. Like, and like a Wolverine, you know, can pounce and you know, moves in animalistic ways. And so how exactly you depict that, like, is an interesting choice. I'm guessing that like something of how they've chosen to approach that aesthetically is what's like looking strange to you.
Yeah, and that's probably true, because you're right. Like, if you look at Wolverine and you look at Beast, the two move and can move very similarly.
Right.
And so it's just like, here you go. I have it up right now. And let me take this thing to theater mode real quick. There we go. So like the cutscenes look great. All of that look fine. See, like I said, everything in movement looks good. Even when he's right here, this is all cutscene work, and all of this stuff looks amazing. Let me see if I can't find the gameplay trailer.
Well, and it's weird because the Beast actually weighs more than him by about 100 pounds.
Well, and I think they depict that well. If you ask me which one weighed more, I'd probably say Beast, because he's chunkier looking. Even in the animated, you know. Let's gameplay trailer. Here we go. This is
Hands 50. While you're playing this, I'm going to step away for a second. I'll be
That's
right
fine. So like, all of this looks good. The visceralness of the combat, the way he goes through it, and he'll jump up on the roof here real quick and start just walking, and right there. Like, the way he moves for some reason just feels so stiff. Almost like the dude has a bad back and doesn't want to pull his back out. That's what it feels like. But outside of that, I am so excited for the story. I'm so excited to see where they actually take this and what stuff they pull from the comics, and I'm excited. I'm really ready for this game to come out because I want to see what they do with it. Spider-Man 1 was amazing. Spider-Man Miles Morales was epic. Ratchet and Clank was extremely beloved. I loved that game. It was so fun. And, you know, Spider-Man 2 was definitely a game that had a story. So right now they are 3 for 4 in the amazing story department, and they're honestly 3 for 3 in comic book adaptations or comic book games. And so I'm really excited to see what they have and where they take the story. Speaking of where they take the story, The Witcher 3 is getting a DLC. Hey, what's up, Corey? Hey, let me see if everybody who else has come in while Logic and I have been going on and on about not video games. Well, video game adjacent. So we got Hero that came in. What's up, Hero? Been interacting with you a bit. Corey, what's going on? There was one other that I missed earlier, and I meant to say hey, and I didn't, and I don't see them in here now. It's Outsider Gaming. Nope. Real Nate said hi to him. Huh. All right. Well, there was one other person who came in that I meant to say hey to. Neil Agosto. Hello to you. You came in here earlier while we were talking about this. Can he swim? He can jump. This is more comic accurate representation of Wolverine. That was Sabretooth, not Beast. And then, yeah, definitely hit the like, guys. I was about to read his hit the like button. But yeah, guys, hit that like. And like I said, we're going to continue on. This is going to be for The Witcher. Now, this is Witcher Songs of the Past, and this is the next DLC for The Witcher 3. Yeah, I said that right. The Witcher 3, a 13-year-old game, is getting DLC. And I'm actually really freaking excited about it. Main reason I'm excited is because I want to know, and I want to see, and I hope this explains how Ciri is gonna, like, how does she become the Witcher? Does she create a spell? Does she have some sort of, like, protection charm post something running on her so she can do the ritual and not die? What's going on and how do they do it? And I'm hoping that this explains at least a little bit or tries to bridge it a bit. Also with how we get Ciri in that role. I'm actually really excited to see what kind of implications this has for the story going forward. This article is also from Game Informer. If you ever want to look at the articles that I use or that we're using, go to the description. They are in the description below, and you will be able to see them there with all the links. And like I said, if you want to join the Discord, we have that available. It is 30 days with the link is good for 30 days, and you can join that way. You can also support the channel by becoming a member, and members get access to cool emojis, and they get a shout out every episode. And so, yeah, all of that stuff. Also, you help support my habit. So if you would like to do that, you may. And back to The Witcher 3, though. I hope that we through this DLC, find out how they're going to start connecting some of the pieces. I'm really, really excited. Canon ending of Witcher 3 is that Ciri becomes a Witcher. I'm sorry, I've been stunned like a dog that just heard a whistle. Give me a second. You're hearing me typing. Holy shit, I gotta go back and finish it. I gotta go back and make a couple different choices. Okay. Well, I'm going to sit here and look like a dumbass because I did not know that ending was possible. That's my fault. I have over 100 hours in that game. Sorry to spoil that. Hey, listen, dude. Spoil that all you want. I've been wondering this whole time how they're going to make it work because sorcerers can't become witch. And so, anyways, yeah, we'll see how that happens. I am still excited to see how they connect it and how everything is going to kind of bleed together. So I am hoping that this answers some of those questions. Logic, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Well, save me from my blunder. What are you hoping for from The Witcher 3 DLC, Songs of the Past?
I'm not. I was actually going to ask you before you got into this. I am not. I just mentioned this on the last episode of Enough to Keep Going. I am somebody who almost never plays the DLC. I just like very rarely to almost never like go back to a game for the DLC. Rare exceptions to that. So like I am playing the Doom: The Dark Ages DLC now because I completed Doom: The Dark Ages last December over the holiday break. And so when the DLC dropped, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to check that out. There was something else I was going to ask you. I'm also not like a super huge fan of the Witcher series.
Shit, apparently I'm not either. So
it's a thing I keep trying to like go back to. So my first time that I fell off of it, and this is my own. Well, I'll call this one my own fault. Then I'll talk about some things that are not my own fault. Is I just kind of got lost in the like crisscrossing between like following the main story campaign and then like having to periodically like go to the job bulletin board to do stuff to level up to like get to the next thing. Yeah. So I kind of got lost in that miasma and didn't stick with it. But yeah, I've and then when I do think about going back, I've heard lots of people talk about like there are people who are super huge fans of the combat, and then there are people who are just staunch like naysayers of the combat.
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm a person who started off liking it, and then as time has gone on, I've just liked other combat systems, and so it's hard for me to go back into the backlog, like and try and retry attaching myself to it when it's but. Yeah, but, I know there are lots of people who love it and love the DLC. So, I guess the thing that I'm hoping for it as an innocent bystander is I hope there are people who reconnect with the series and kind of take it as a ramp to get back to The Witcher 4 when it comes out.
Yeah, and The Witcher 3 was actually, Corey mentioned this, that he played it before it became popular. It was actually a game, The Witcher 3, I got the Wild Hunt edition from GameStop for like $14, maybe $15. Like it was not expensive by the time I got it. And I picked it up for that reason. I was like, oh, huh. I always used to buy games off of time equity. So I was like, well, this game supposedly takes about 100 hours to complete. Hey, I'll try it. And what's up, Mark? Nice to see you, dude. I ended up getting it and hating it. The first time I played it, oh my God, I remember, what's the old guy's name? Viz? Is that right? Vaz? Anyways, the older guy, who's like your mentor, you're talking to him at the beginning, you're both on your horse, and you pass this cemetery on the left. And I literally spent an hour in that cemetery just going around, picking up stuff, doing whatever. Vasamil, thank you. Vaz, yeah.
No, Vesemir.
Vesemir, that's it. Yep. And they called him Vaz, though, or Vas. Right?
I think he sometimes referred to him as Vez for short or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay. So I spent an hour or so in that freaking cemetery just picking up stuff, looting bodies, fighting the occasional thing, and never even made it to the town, to the village that you were supposed to be going to even start the lilac and gooseberries mission. And so I play it for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, man, this is boring as shit. The combat's okay, but it's just boring. I'm just picking stuff up. This is stupid. And so then I drop it. I try to play it again. I make it to the city, or make it just to the little village, literally right on the opposite side of that cemetery. And something doesn't click, and then I try it again. And finally, the third time I tried it, I made it past that little village, and I was hooked. And I have over 100 hours in the game now, and I've done almost all of the side missions. I've done most of the hunts. I have almost all of the weapons upgraded. Like, me and that world have met. And so I actually really, really fell headfirst into it. And, but yeah, I definitely played it way late to the party. The Griffin part is very cool. I played Witcher 2 on Luna, and it had bad controls, so it was so delayed. I bought it on GOG, and it was pretty cool with fun powers. Hey, man, we actually talked about, or I mentioned earlier in the introduction about companies getting into gaming and how much of a risk it can be. And that's actually one of our topics for tonight. But so yeah, anyways, the DLC, we're getting our first look at it at Gamescom opening night live. And so we will get our first actual look at it on at 11 a.m. August 25th. There we go. That's weird. They put the date and then like at the bottom of the next paragraph, they put the time. Appreciate that. So yeah, it's August 25th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, or 2 p.m. Eastern, or 8 p.m. CEST. So yeah, that is the next topic. And moving on, we will talk, since Luna was brought up again. Logic, did you see the article about Hasbro that I saw?
No, I don't think I caught up with that one.
Okay, so do you know anything about Hasbro and their venture into gaming? Like video gaming, not just, board games and like stuff like that.
I'm gonna say no. Isn't Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, right?
Yes, but they haven't been owned by Hasbro for like their entirety.
No. But I mean, but WotC has a pretty strong, venture into games. I mean, WotC kind of functions like LucasArts functions now as part of. Where the hell are they? I can't remember. I guess as part of Disney Plus, where they don't make their own video games, but they oversee people that they license the property out to.
Yes,
so there are video gaming employees within LucasArts that's their job.
Yes, that is exactly how Wizards operates within Hasbro. But when it comes to their gaming division, Wizards has had success before, and then they kind of took a long break, and they were like, "Hey, we're not investing in this. We're not doing that." Hasbro comes in and is like, "Hey, we can license these IPs again. Like people love them, Dungeons and Dragons, Baldur's Gate, all of that stuff. We need to be doing this." And so they revamp it, and they have to like start over, and they revamp it, and they license out Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, blows the doors off. And then Hasbro says, "Oh, no kidding." They then invest $1 billion in gaming through Invoke, Archetype Entertainment, Skeleton Key, and Atomic Arcade. And this is all from the article. Those 4 projects are all making single-player games, not live service titles. Okay? Now, they've had to cancel one of their major games, which was their Dungeons & Dragons game. Dungeons & Dragons is not as popular as they had hoped, especially in that sector. People just want another Baldur's Gate. They don't really want anything else in that universe. They just want, give me a Baldur's Gate 4. And so that's probably what their next step is, to find a suitor for Baldur's Gate 4. This D&D game was supposed to be more of a over-the-shoulder action title. It was being... actually, the studio was founded by Jedi Survivor and God of War 3 director Stig Asmussen. So, that one has been canceled. And they just did a $56 million non-cash write-down this quarter for capital losses related to their video game sector, and how they're having to like trim their IP and like narrow their scope and pretty much do what every fucking buddy else in the industry is trying to do right now. But what I was talking about earlier was, we've seen this before with other companies that have tried to go headlong into gaming. And one of my examples was Amazon. Hell, Google Stadia. How's that shit doing? Like, there's companies that have tried these things that have failed the first time around, And now Amazon is coming back into the fold, and now they have some titles that people are actually excited about. You know, they got the Tomb Raider stuff going for them, and people seem to be really enjoying that. Amazon just did, oh crap, what was their one recently? They just had Amazon games. That's going to bother me. Amazon games. Chris, blah, blah, blah. What was it? They just had one. Somebody help me. The James Bond. Thank you, Corey. Lord Jesus. Sorry if I yelled in your ear, Logic. They had, and to anybody else, sorry I yelled in your ear. What's up, Nelson? That was the other one I missed. Nelson's here.
Well, Amazon didn't have anything to do with 007 First Light, though.
I thought Amazon published it, didn't they?
No, they now own the IP now that MGM sold it to them, but they were not owners of the IP before that deal was inked for 007 First Light.
Oh, okay.
They own the IP now, so that was the quick kerfuffle. There was a interpretation of a thing that the Amazon gaming executive, I guess CEO or VP or whatever, said, where he said basically, look, whatever the next Bond game is, it will be a game that is, you know, where that IP is owned by us, and so we will like supervise or, you know, or decide how that's going to go down. A lot of people interpreted that to mean Amazon was going to do the next 007 First Light. And I was like, you know, what you guys need to do is you guys need to not touch it, right? And
okay.
It turns out that what he meant and what is feasible is that they could just go back to IO Interactive and work a second deal to have them do the sequel. It's just that the deal would be through Amazon, not work through MGM. And it sounds like that is what is happening, is that they're working with IO.
Well, good, because IO needs money right now. So IO Interactive apparently needs lots of money. I don't know why. James Bond seemed to do pretty good, but they are hurting for the dollar bills. So they need them.
So can I ask, can I interject a question on this whole Hasbro WotC thing?
Yeah.
Like, why in the world is there not a G.I. Joe and a Transformers RPG?
Yes.
Like tabletop, right?
Yes.
Like their Dungeons and Dragons thing, which would be niche, but some people would play it, and then license that out as a live service thing where you go in and you make your own G.I. Joe character, and there's there's episodic content where you go on missions with Duke and Lady Jane and Snake Eyes, you know, and you do whole like story arcs in an RPG world.
There you go.
And ditto for the Transformers.
I got your answer right here. This guy's a moron. His name is Chris Cox. He's the CEO of Hasbro. He's a freaking idiot. That's why. Found it. That's your problem.
Oh, there you go.
That's the reason. He doesn't know how to use his own IP. He likes to buy licensing and whore out other people's IP. That's what he doesn't. He has the Xbox problem. He doesn't believe in his own IP. He's almost turned WotC into Funko Pops. With the way they handle Magic the Gathering, and that's their biggest part of their business now, and is pretty much funding their toy section. It's funding their video games. It's actually set to have the first $1 billion year ever. And so they are absolutely killing it on the card game side, but they are floundering everywhere else because, thankfully, Chris Cox can only mess with Magic the Gathering so much. Like, thankfully. Because everything else he touches disintegrates and withers away. And it dies a slow and painful death. And for some reason, Magic has not done that, but everything else has. And so he's not smart enough to go, hey, if we could get somebody like Larian to do a killer Baldur's Gate game, surely to God, we could maybe go to, another studio and look at them and go, hey guys, could y'all create a really awesome, Transformers, like Transformers, like Cybertron game that doesn't suck and that doesn't have bad controls? Can we work on that? Can we do that? No. Hell no. Nope. Nope. That's not what we're doing. We're going to spend $1 billion, create all of brand new shit, hire really expensive people, no offense to Archetype Entertainment and the geniuses that are bringing me Exodus. Not talking negatively about them, but those people cost a lot of money. They're previous folks from 343 and BioWare, not 343, sorry, BioWare and some Bungie devs, and like they have pedigree, and some Ubisoft devs are thrown in there. They have pedigree behind them. So those guys aren't cheap. Instead of doing that, you could have easily said, hey, what if we gave you X amount of dollars to create us this game where the IP is already there, the source material is already there, and you can then form a story based off of that? You know, that'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of cool. But no, Chris Cox is a fucking idiot, and that's not how this works. We don't have the intelligence in our brain to do that. Anyways, sorry. I'm crossing streams right now with my two hobbies. One being Magic the Gathering and one being video games. And Hasbro has decided to get involved in both and doesn't do either one particularly well. And so it's interesting to see, but it's also very interesting. I think it's very telling on how the gaming market is right now. If a hero in the Discord either earlier today or yesterday said that the gaming industry seems to be on a razor's edge, where if you don't just hit, you're done. You're out. And yet we still have companies coming in trying to get involved again for the second time around. And it just seems like the industry is so dang unforgiving at this point. So Logic, I guess my question is, why do these companies keep trying to get in? Like, why keep making that effort when it just becomes write-downs and closures and failed projects and nothing else but seemingly a waste of good money and good resources?
I mean, it's the golf swing effect. I mean, do you play golf? Have you ever played golf?
I have played golf. I suck at golf, but go ahead.
Yeah. So as much as you suck at golf, at least one time, right, you have hit that ball off the tee.
Oh,
right?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And it feels amazing.
There you go.
It feels so good.
This is the thing, and I often describe, like, there are certain games like this. There are certain things in life like this. There are certain things that are like the golf swing. And so I'm like you. It's like I suck at golf. And I've said I'm not going back to play golf again. And I mean, I played regularly for like, a couple years at a time, off and on. And I've said I'm not going back to golf unless I'm willing to plunk down and like work with a golf pro, right, and get some lessons. At least like a few $100 lessons, right, just to get the basics down. But like you, I'm a hacker, like, and I don't play golf well. But miraculously, somehow, some way, all of us, like, I will hit that one drive off the tee in 18 rounds of golf, sometimes 2, right? That doesn't shank over into the woods, that doesn't follow some crazy elliptical, like, freaking orbit, before it touches down, right? But I'll nail it. And those 1 or 2 times, maybe 3, all right, that you hit it, that is the stroke that causes you to keep playing. And it's idiotic because, of course, you're not going to hit the next drive the same way, right? But you're convincing yourself, hey, 1 out of 9 times I hit this amazing drive and I'm Jack Nicklaus, right? And if I could just figure out how to replicate that and do it over and over again, I'll be okay.
So, right? Listen, okay, hang on. Funny story. I am 5'9" and a half, 5'10" on a good day. I have been that same height since like sophomore in high school. I was 180 pounds in high school. Okay. I was about 220 in college by the end of college. This was not muscle. No. Don't confuse the two. This was my freshman 15 times 2. But intramurals, if you don't know what intramurals are, it's a sports activities for non-sports players at the college. And you do things like bowling, basketball, flag football, whatever. During basketball, I literally was always short and fat and unathletic, so I never was able to drive the paint in basketball. So what I would do was I would sit around the perimeter and I would just hit 3-pointers. That's it. I would attempt to hit 3-pointers. Let me say that differently. So the golf swing effect for me is shown more on the basketball court because I will miss 8 of those bastards in a row. But then I'll make 2 in a row and I'll feel like I'm Steve Kerr. For those who don't know, he was fucking awesome back in the 90s.
He's the one white dude who could play basketball.
He was the one, and he was short.
Right.
And so I resonated with this dude. I wasn't skilled enough with ball handling to be Muggsy Bogues, so I couldn't do that. But like, and I really wasn't Chris Webber, so it didn't work either. But like, I could be Steph Kerr. And then when I became a Mavericks fan, I could be Steve Nash. And I could drain him from 3 2 out of 10 times. And so I definitely understand. You got to go for it. You got to try. But like, dang, it seems like it always, and it also seems like there's this pattern of if we fail, but have money to try again in a few years, we actually may succeed. So like, and I keep going back to Amazon because what they're doing with Tomb Raider and what they're working with Crystal Dynamics, I think is very, very good. I think they have something there that if they keep funding it, like I know it's probably going over budget. I know that Amazon likes to stop production on shit and just cut bake and get out. But like, if they stick with it, I think they will have a couple successes on their hands. But that comes at the cost of failed projects, shut down studios, canceled games, and a lot of money lost. And so I just, man, at some point, these companies have to look at it and go, you know what? We have case study after case study that says this might not be the best idea. Our mobile games are doing great work. Monopoly Go is amazing. One of our greatest success stories. We have Magic Arena that is just bringing in boatloads of cash for us. You know, why don't we work on maybe modifying those, making those better, talking to the developers of those and getting those situated and handled and hammered out. And no. What we're going to do is we're going to create 85 other apps that nobody really gives a shit about. We're going to cancel them. And then we're going to write down $56 million in loss because we don't know what the hell we're doing. Because once again, his name is Chris Cox and he's the CEO of Hasbro. And the guy's an idiot. Anyways.
And so to answer your question, I think that's why companies, like even companies that are in the gaming industry, right, keep firing these moonshots, right? Because they think that, you know, if I could just land the one, you know, then it's the money shot, right? It's the whale. It's the and for a lot of them, it's the thing that makes my career, right? And for a lot of studios, I mean, it's not just executives like doing this. It's studios who are like, you know, if we can just make our Silk Song, you know. And it's kind of funny because we're talking about lots of different media formats and, you know, tonight, and the gaming industry gets a lot of like this hyper thing because for whatever reason the gaming industry has kind of a following and a fandom that are kind of a little different, you know, not a little more homogenous, right, than you know, all gathered in one place, right, on Twitter, between Twitter and YouTube, and not as fanned out, and in some cases not as, you know, I mean, far more social than a lot of those other fandoms are. But, you know, we also have this in comics, right? One of the things that we talk about is you look at what's going on in a lot of comics right now, and like you try and trace and you try and understand, like, why are they trying to do this thing? Why are they trying to do that thing? And like a lot of it goes back to like everyone thinks that if I can just write my Watchmen, if I can just write my Dark Knight Returns, right? It's those two comics like radically changed the landscape. And they kind of created this phenomenon of the hit comic that really transcends comic books, right? And gets into all sorts of nicks and crannies of pop culture. And like, you know, are the things we often talk about, like when a thing happens in games that transcends the gaming community, and like you talk to normals and like the normals know what they are. Like the normals have heard of the Dark Knight, right? The normals know what the Watchmen is. And, and maybe to a certain extent, maybe even League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But my point is, there are certain seminal comics like that when they get created, like everyone trends, like it's 40 years since those comics were written. And there are still people trying to shoot that moonshot. That's what their entire shtick around their creator run is oriented around. Like, can I just do this thing? And to a certain extent, certain big runs like Greg Rucka's run on Captain America, and I forget who did the major run on Daredevil. Maybe it was Chris Samnee who did the run on Daredevil. That are kind of like these things are down in the annals of history as like this was the best run, right, of this character. Obviously, what Capullo and Scott Snyder did, right, with Batman. So, to a lot of extent, people are chasing like this singular model, and I think in games, it's not that in terms of oriented around genre or a literary style, but it's a lot of people are chasing like that one major hit, that sticks the landing, and in some cases, not only sticks the landing, but like you hit like an Uncharted, right, and you create a whole franchise, that feeds, God of War that like, feeds your stock, for, 10 years, 20 years. So, but like, as you guys have heard me say very, very, very often, like the key problem, the number one problem with the gaming industry right now is oversaturation of inventory. We have too many games, and I hate to say it, too many studios, and I hate to say it, too many developers. And it is not unlike other professional things. Like people flip out when I say that, and I'm like, we have had this in other professional ranks, right, in industry before. We had a glut of lawyers. We had a point where like, if you went to law school and you came out, you were going to be a public counselor. That was the only job you were probably going to get. We had a glut of MBAs because everybody thought that going to get an MBA was the thing. And then those kids graduated and they could not find jobs.
Or start a business.
Right. Because they all thought they were going to be entrepreneurs. Yep. Right. And there wasn't enough to go around.
That was, funny enough, that was my wave of college. My college, it was a Bible school, but they were fully accredited by the state, all of it. And we had one killer business program. If you were, as far as small schools went, like we had a really good business program that produced millionaires and a couple billionaires from what I've understood. And so like people would come to our school and it was either you were there for Bible or you were there for business. There was no other in between. And it was wild. Like almost every single one of our sports players was either going to be a coach or he was in business. Like every single one of our basketball, baseball, all of them, they were all in either kinesiology, studying to be a coach, or in business. And it was wild. So when you talk about that, like, man, I lived that generation. Everybody wanted to be a businessman. Everybody wanted to work for themselves. I'm not gonna, and it's because most of us saw our dads working for somebody else. And we were like, F that, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna start my own business. And like, not a lot of them did. But go ahead. Sorry, Logic.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I mean, we had, there was a period of time. It's a little subtle and not a people. We had this time where we had a glut of ops analysis people, and this was when math in business became a big thing, and Lean came about, and Six Sigma came about. Like a bunch of people who were ops analysis mathematician types who were translating, math to business and efficiency. Like there was a point where there was a glut of them too. And again, you graduated and you could not find a job. So it's funny and weird to me. Like lots of topics going on around now, and I know it's a lecture and a sermon from me, and people get tired of hearing, but I'm constantly castigating people for misinterpreting what's going on now because of a lack of understanding of history, and a refusal to go read and learn it. But I feel like these are things that have happened in other like career tracks, but yet you say there's too many game developers and people act like it's heresy. Like I interview a lot of software developers now, and I get a lot of kids who are like, and I'm like, one of my key questions is, hey, if you weren't coming to work for me as a software developer, where do you want to land up? And it's like so many of them will say game developer, and I have to do a timeout and do a mentoring and coaching session. And I'm like, look, I'm not telling you this to like crush your dreams, but like this is the awareness you need to have. Like you know, I'm hoping this interview goes well and you can come work for me. But like, if it doesn't, you know, I'm you know, as a mentor and a coach, I'm always going to look out for you and professionals and engineers and software developers.
Run the other way.
Yeah, like you just need to understand the landscape, right? And you need to understand the metrics of like, oh well, I don't need to go work for a big developer. I can just be an indie developer. Like, okay, let's talk about the Steam metrics, right? So you understand, you know, how many games are earning, you know, money on Steam. So I mean, it's just and again, it is the same thing that happened with those other career tracks that I talked about. It got a halo, like those jobs got a halo effect. Those jobs got evangelized. Those jobs were the jobs that like parents were saying, you know, hey, you need to grow up and be a lawyer. You need to grow up and get an MBA. You need to go up and go into like math. It's like, but by the time you get there, right, there's a glut. So, you know, I don't know. It'll fix itself eventually, I assume.
Sorry, my headset wasn't working. You said it'll fix itself eventually soon.
Yeah, I mean, well, not soon, but yeah, hopefully it'll eventually fix itself, right, or whatever, or we'll just sit on this perpetual bubble as I describe it. I hear it's use the term razor's edge, and I can't remember if there's a term that I made up that I came up with that I've been using to describe this age. You know, where the previous age was the great age of gaming affordability, and now we're on. I need to figure out a better place to put this article so I can always get back to it.
It's a reference point. you need that.
And now we are on what I term the long-term quasi-perpetual bubble, right? Which just feels like it feels like for years. I mean, and we've been in the state since 2020, since the beginning of this generation, right? Where it just feels like, you know, collapse is imminent. Things, you know, something's got to give. You know, there's not enough like elasticity, like the struggle and the strain between supplier and buyer. I'm like, yeah, it's weird to me. It's weird to me that a company like Microsoft is at a headcount of 22,500 people, is going down to 13,000. They're almost at 50% of the headcount that they have, and yet, as you mentioned, yet. People are leaving big publishers and starting up new studios. Like, what are you doing? You know. So it's like
you're actively
it's
choosing this. Why?
Right. Well, and part of the reason is because, and maybe this is another realization that we have to make, and is one that I need. Like, so game developers in the industry are in a kind of weird nexus between entertainment and engineering professionals, right? And so there's part of what's going on in this space that is very much like entertainment. Like, there's an almost unlimited number of people who claim that they're actors, despite the fact that they've been waiting tables at a restaurant for 15 years. But they will still say, well, that's just my day job. I'm really an actor. There are tons of people who are quote unquote musicians because they tend bar, right? Most nights of the week. But one night a week, right? They play a little session, right? Or maybe they just pick up their guitar from behind the bar and go. And I'm not making fun of these people. I'm saying that there's a rock star effect, right? Because those people are living that golf swing life. Because those people are like, hey, look, you know, like this one time, you know, I got up and, you know, did a couple of numbers at a bar and somebody passed me their card in the recording industry, right? And it's or like, have you seen F1 the movie?
Is that the one where he builds the? Nope, that's the one with Ferrari. That was Ford versus Ferrari. No, I have not seen F1.
Okay, so I won't. But there's this moment in the movie where Brad Pitt talks about like why he does this, like why he constantly races, despite the fact that he is often a loser, that he's on losing teams. Like, and he's. And it's because it's of a similar thing. It's because it's this constant seeking for this one moment to be replicated. This kind of beautiful, serene thing. And I think that's 50% of the dynamic in the gaming industry and with the developers and with the whole studio framework and all that is because all of these people are looking for their golf swing. Right. And so they're not going to get out, even though it may be prudent to. There's a part of it that's like, you know, starving for their art. And I mean, and this is like, for me, when I had, potential opportunities, I'm not saying I had any like real talent, but like the times that I made considerations of, do I want to be an actor? Do I want to go into performing arts, right? Do I want to stick with music? All that kind of stuff. I came to a definite inflection point where I was like, no, my priority is making money, and I'm not willing to starve for my art. I'm not willing to live in a rat-infested apartment, right, until I make it big. I'm not.
He's like, I'm not about that life. I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna eat ramen noodles until like fucking George Lucas catches me like installing a door somewhere.
I like Charmin toilet paper. I won't compromise. It's just right. It is what it is.
Right, and I applaud this friend of our channel, Ramon Terrell, frequently comes through here, and Ramon's an actor. Like Ramon was on Arrow,
Yes.
and I totally respect what he does, and I totally understand the struggle, right, that he's been through, for opportunities, and in his explanation of kind of how Hollywood works and how actors really work, because he's part of SAG, and so when all the strikes and stuff were going on, I was able to lean on him and kind of really understand what was going on, because I was trying to understand, unionization and how that could impact, the dynamics going on in the gaming industry as well. So I get it. I totally respect people like that. But that's part of the thing. That's part of the why won't they leave? Like, why won't they go do something else? How come when a game developer says it's toxic, I'm crunch, I haven't gotten a raise in 3 years, and I go, you could be a database administrator and make more money than you're making now and have greater job security, higher quality of life, better benefits. Like what? Well, because I don't want to be a database administrator. And like, look, as a gamer, I'm like, oh man, dude, that's tough. I understand it. Keep at it, keep pounding, stick with your art. As an engineering professional, I'm like, bro, that's on you. Right. So there's a part of me that empathizes, right? But then there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but I'm not sympathetic, so, like I said, it'll work it out, I guess, eventually.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. I don't know if the gaming industry is dead, dying, on life support, or sailing to the moon. I don't really know which one it is at this given moment, but it's definitely a fun thing to discuss. And one of your, I didn't make this up. You are a Fallout guy, a Starfield guy, and a Skyrim guy. Is that right?
You totally made that up.
I made that up.
Okay. I was going to put in the chat. That's absolutely incorrect.
Oh, okay. So, are you a Starfield guy?
I may be able to. I'll be able to talk about it, but I am not. Like I am actually a staunch Bethesda hater.
Okay, so you do know about Bethesda quite a bit, but you're not a fan of their IPs. Okay.
No, I'm not a fan of Todd Howard. I call you guys Ubisoft Nickelbackers.
Equal correlation, is that it?
Yeah. I call you guys Ubisoft Nickelbackers and give you crap for that. I am definitely a Bethesda. I'm not a Nickelbacker. I'm just an upfront hater and been there the whole time. But yes.
Josh said I'm a Bethesda hater too. Hero said he's a Star Trek guy. I'm a Star Trek guy too. And funny enough, the Voyager game on PlayStation, I'm actually about to buy it. They just released another DLC for it.
Oh, is that the one that's like man, I don't even know what genre to put that game in.
Bro, it is a mobile game. It is Fallout. It's the Fallout mobile game, but with a Star Trek skin. You go around, you hunt the planets for resources. You bring the resources back to your ship, all done via time windows. Bring it back to your ship, and then you expand your ship. Crew quarters, food, replicators. You get power to different sections of it to rebuild your ship.
This is Across the Unknown, right?
Yes, this is Voyager Across the Unknown. It starts you off with the Caretaker.
So you're saying it's like a mobile game, isn't it? It's not like XCOM. Like to me, it's like XCOM.
No,
am I wrong thinking that way?
So Fallout had a game on mobile that was basically you built each individual like container in your Fallout shelter, and as you built it, you would open up the next two, and then those got built, and you could build synergies between the two. And so like you would have, it was called Fallout Shelter.
Okay.
And it here, I can pull it up real quick. It was called Fallout Shelter.
Is the altars a little bit like that too, then?
I don't know. Oh, look. Here,
I played a little bit of the altars, not a lot.
Here, this is great. This is perfect. Let me pull this over real quick. Because this is what Fallout Shelter looked like, where you had different corridors. This one made you food. This one was where you got your water from, energy or electricity. This one I think was healing. And this one was also energy. I think this was like trash or something like that.
Yeah.
And then so
some of the guys in the chat are saying the altar. Yeah, I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like exactly like the altars. Which is, I mean, I think the altars has better probably story elements, right, and stuff in between. It has a whole meta about what that game is about. But
so Across the Unknown does this right here, where you have different corridors, different sections. This is like the cafeteria, the lounge, the holodeck, one of the three. Then you have this over here being like a weight room, and you just build out your ship. And that's all you're doing. And you're fulfilling story beats. 7 of 9 is in it. The Borg is in it. The Caretaker is in it. Like, it is Voyager down to a T. And it's actually like, it actually has a player base. And my biggest concern was that, like, I'm going to get into this game, I'm going to buy it for $25, and it's just going to go away. And, like, it's not going to get anything else, and we're just going to be stuck with that's it. But they're actually supporting it. It's actually doing decent enough for them to keep supporting it, which is pretty dang cool.
Well, it's by GameSide. Isn't GameSide I mean, you said it, but I mean, isn't GameSide a mobile studio?
GameSide.
It's game. I'm sorry. I pronounce it GameSite. It's spelled GameXite.
X-Site?
Yes, as in like excitement.
Oh, okay. GameSide Development Studios, PS4, PS5, Hungary based, Germany, blah, blah, blah. They did Asterix from the Google Play and Apple. Yep. They are a mobile developer. Good job, Logic. Way to pull that one out of your rear end.
Yeah, it says. I mean, it says they're not exclusively mobile. Cross-platform developer that builds games for mobile, PC, and consoles.
Yeah, but Star Trek Across the Unknown was their first foray into console.
Into PC console. Okay.
Yeah. The other two were on the Google Play and App Store.
Well, and I mean, even when they cross over, it's like, you know, their major thing was like a strategy card game, which, you know, could be obviously played on mobile, and a free-to-play building strategy game, which was a mobile game.
Right. So like that's but no, it's decent, it's campy, it's Voyager, but like I don't know. I don't even know how we got on that. Hero said he was a Star Trek fan.
Yeah, I am too. In the realm of like there are Star Trek people and Star Wars people, I am definitely a Star Trek person. Especially more so now.
Yeah.
Since the sacrilege and heresy that is the postquels.
Yeah, they're awful. I am very much a TV show pre-season 2 of Discovery. I really liked season 1. Really didn't like season 2. But pre-season 2 of Discovery, so that includes Enterprise, that includes Enterprise, Voyager, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and the original. And I am not a fan, and I've never been a big like watcher of the movies. To me, it will always be an episodic TV show. Like I just the movies have never resonated with me.
I am both, and have delved a little into the books. I am an OCD, detail-oriented lore type, but that really only goes up to the Next Generation and a little bit into Voyager. I did not watch the back half of Voyager, so I'm not as familiar with how like what was going on in Voyager like crosses back over to like the regular like Federation happenings and going on.
Oh, the whole thing does. It's so freaking good. The whole thing.
I hear it's really good. And then I'm familiar with DS9 and Worf, and I saw like the change out of I can't remember what the actress's name was, but when like it's not a parasite, but when the symbiote like shifts into Nicole Bower or whatever, like I'm a little familiar with that in that storyline and the whole Odo and stuff, like, but I didn't watch all of it. So, and then I'm just not up to speed with like the modern era stuff.
Yeah, no. Modern era, like I said, Discovery, the season 1 was amazing. I loved it. Season 2, the acting and writing, it felt like, to me, it felt flat. Picard, same thing. Season 1, I thought was really well done. It was kind of weird seeing. I felt like they made James Patrick Stewart look frail and old, but performing like jogging, shooting, firing sequences. I'm like, you can't have him look, walk, and sound like an old dude, and then have him still be able to like jog and duck behind things and fire his face. Like, it wasn't believable. And a lot of it felt forced midway through season 1, so I stopped watching, and then I have not gone back, and I don't really touch anything Star Trek now. I let it stay in my beautifully preserved bubble that did end with Scott Bakula's Enterprise. Like, that's where it ended, and it never kept going.
Yeah, it's tough because so there's a disconnect in what needs to be portrayed and our reality, because in the Federation, the life expectancy, like as has occurred with human evolution, generations that beget generations, we like our life expectancy grows to the right. And so in the Federation, life expectancy goes up to 120 years. McCoy, I think, was 100, lived to be 137. Spock lived to be like 162. So I'm sure that what's going on in Picard is like people remain viable, right, for longer years than we do, right, in this current age. And so I'm reckoning they were trying to kind of depict that, but then it runs into the reality, which, oh, by the way, since we're on comic books and all sorts of other media, is a problem that is definitely going to hit the MCU. Like, you can't keep having
hit it hard.
Chris Evans. Eventually these dudes are going to get too old, right?
Dude, did you see how? Okay, so Doctor Doom, RDJ revealing himself as Doctor Doom at Comic-Con. I was like, oh, my boy looks old. He needs to
right. Which is okay for Doom.
Sure.
Right. My bigger problem and concern with him is like how is he gonna pull off a Latvian accent without it feeling totally camp, totally fake, totally phoned in?
Oh, or feeling, you mean like Scarlet Witch in the first time Elizabeth Olsen tried to play her? It was awful. Nobody remembers that.
Well, I would say Scarlet Witch felt fine to me, but when I go back to her trying to do a Sokovian accent,
yes,
right, and then I was when she dropped it, I was totally fine with it. I was like, I'm not going to worry about like breaking continuity and all that stuff, like, because the Sokovian accent it just sounded entirely phoned in.
And then she brought it back after coaching, and it sounded.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She brought it back for WandaVision.
Yes, and when you watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there are scenes that she has with the kids where there are hints of the Sokovian accent, like she's trying to do it, but like not trying to like overdo it.
Yep.
And I'm like, maybe that's a choice. Maybe I can be okay with that. But but at the end of the day, the whole thing is weird. That they did it, then they dropped it, then they brought it back. I'm like, just make a choice.
Just stop it. Some people aren't good at accents. Don't let her do one. Just stop.
Or how about you own everything now? It's the multiverse. Let's just go ahead and overwrite this timeline and make them Magneto's kids. That's totally okay.
I mean, they should have been Magneto's kids from the fucking start. Drives me nuts that they have not been revealed to be. God bless. Could you imagine? Elizabeth Olsen is still young enough to where they could do a crossover with a new Magneto and bring her in and have I don't know how they would work that. How it would have to be an X-Men movie, and Magneto would have to be in the movie as main villain, which is fine. You could do a Brotherhood storyline, what have you. As a matter of fact, the Brotherhood storyline would be super freaking awesome in film. I think it would be great. And you get some characters that we've seen, but we we could flesh them out a little bit more, like Havoc. I'd love to see them flesh out the Havoc character. Go ahead.
Well, the main thing now is like now that they've done what they've done, I feel like they've screwed the pooch on being able to do House of M and No More Mutants, which would have been awesome. But yeah, it is what it is.
For a while, we thought we were going to get House of M in
the X-Men universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Fox. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, don't piss me off.
Next
so
topic.
Fine, we'll go to look, I'll be real quick. The thing I hate. So first of all, I feel like the two biggest, worst, horrible movies, superhero movies, and I say superhero movies. I don't really mean that. I really mean like Marvel movies. Were Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 and X3. And then what further pisses me off is like after we totally really didn't have this whole concept of continuity in comic book movies, like they do Days of Future Past, like when it wasn't even really like an X-Men universe, like shared universe type thing, and they fixed everything, right? They actually set the stage where they could have platformed off of that and gone forward as the X-Men cinematic universe. And then basically kind of like DC did in the comics after Crisis on Infinite Earths, after they fixed everything, and then they spent the next decade like tearing everything apart that they had just fixed. I'm like, you guys fixed everything with Days of Future Past. What is this apocalypse crap that I'm watching now where you guys just totally screw up the entire continuity that you just pieced back together in Days of Future Past? Yeah. That's so frustrating.
Which is interesting because Days of Future Past is X-Men movies, it's probably in my top 3.
It's good. It is good.
I think Logan. I think Logan has to be top 3 also. And then how far am I taking the X-Men universe? Am I going all the way over into Deadpool?
Yeah, I would stop. I would stop short.
You know what I mean? Like you can't go over all the way into Deadpool because you only had Colossus, Juggernaut. I mean, you had some people, but never mind. Anyways, back to video games. So Fallout. Fallout is going to have a Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters. Obsidian is going to be working on a new Fallout game, potential New Vegas 2. And Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield. Those are what Bethesda, large Bethesda as a whole, is going to be working on henceforth now going forward. All of these games, with the exception of Obsidian's, because we don't know what engine Obsidian is using, will be developed in the Creation Engine 3, which should make people happy because that means it's better than the current one. Right, Logic? That's what that means, right?
No, absolutely not.
No.
That means it's carrying all the baggage and the dead carcass of creation engines before it into the future.
No, I'm gonna read this to you because it says this is Bethesda's next generation game engine. This is the new thing. This isn't the old thing. This is the new thing. And so it's gonna do amazing. But this came after this I sent a short in the Discord earlier, and it's probably one of the funniest dang things that I have ever seen. It's basically how the corporate meeting at Bethesda went when Asha showed up, and it's quite funny.
You mean Asha with her with all of her Hitman and dark glasses?
No, it's this one right here. Hang on, I'll share this guy's content. I don't care. He's funny as hell.
I'm sorry, Asha. We'll get back to work. I'd like to reiterate that Elder Scrolls 6 is in production, and that Fallout 5 has entered pre-production. Finally! What? Phil never even made us start those! Keep going. We'd also like to announce that we're working on remasters for both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Oh, we haven't heard anything from Bethesda since the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser 8 years ago. And now, we're getting a ton of announcements all of a sudden. This definitely doesn't have anything to do with Asha taking over. And finally, we're excited to share that we're working on a new Fallout project with Obsidian. I smell New Vegas too. Good. Now get back to work.
So that right there pretty much describes the entire situation. Asha has come in and they have now narrowed focus. And the narrowed focus is going to what you know, playing to your strengths. So they're going to be playing to Elder Scrolls 6, going to be doing more content for Starfield. New Vegas and Fallout 3 are going to get a remaster. And then Obsidian is going to be doing another Fallout game. So
look, that meeting was like Ciri coming in with the mountain and the rest of the royal guards, right? Just walking into, you know, some village and declaring like, this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to do. Like, and it's not just Bethesda, but I mean, it's the same. It was the same thing at id. It was the same thing at ZeniMax Online, even before the Bethesda. Like all of these are corporate, like mandated, thou shalt or else. You want to get promoted, don't you? You hope that you still have your job when I do the next round of 1,600 layoffs, like get with the program type strong arm tactics. And it's like, it's clear and it's obvious. And if you don't see it, like the guy from id saying, hey, we're the same size that we were, you know, when we did Doom 2016. And then you have all of the, you know, you have all the people who were just laid off from id, but also current employees at id saying, yeah, I don't agree with that take. You know, I'm like, you know, it's amazing. I contend, you know, if I, as bearish as I could be, like at the extreme, I say you're never going to see these games.
Ever?
Not as you won't see a bunch of them published as Xbox games, because this is them fattening up the pig to get ready for sale. To chop
you
this
think
thing
that's
up.
just the same song and dance? Just they're doing it not at a game show.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. Because here's my problem, right? And let me walk the dog, and I apologize for those of you guys who've heard it before. So again, going back to the double speak, right? And the things that she is saying and the things that don't make sense. I want these games to happen faster, right? I want these games to come out. Then Bethesda, right, announces all these things. Well, Bethesda's Elder Scrolls 6 was supposedly on track for 2028 release. That means, given the lie that is Todd, that means that game was at least not until a 2029 game. Now you have cut a bunch of the staff at Bethesda, so there's no way mathematically they can maintain that timeline unless they descope. Todd Howard is not a person who descopes. So the only way you're going to get that game to come out is if you get rid of Todd. Right on that timeline. So, and to maintain any timeline, I mean, what's going to happen with ZeniMax Online is like Elder Scrolls Online is going to go away, or it's going to shrivel up to a point where nobody's going to want to bother playing it. It's going to be a shadow of itself. Why? Because the only way, one of the ways, and it's already been hinted at, one of the ways that you get Elder Scrolls going is you have ZeniMax Online Studios help out, which is already the plan. So ZeniMax Online Studios is going to be told to go and help out Bethesda. Right. And that's going to be, one way that, not as many people get laid off more from ZeniMax. So Elder Scrolls 6 is a 2030 game, at least. Fallout next. Maybe Obsidian gets that out in 2029. But I would have definitely said Obsidian could get that game out in 2029 if they had their full staff. But now they've been cut by 25%. So maybe that game comes out in 2029. And even still, I mean, it's going to fall short of like what people expect in terms of scope. I could rattle off that this is what's going on with all of their remaining studios. If they're going to do the IP that she claimed was going to be their focus. Also, notice very interestingly that the IP they were going to focus on in the reset email did not include Starfield. But now it includes Starfield. So part of these people are going to be working on Starfield. They're not going to be working on Elder Scrolls, at least for some time. So there's no way that these games come out on an accelerated timeline when she's claiming, I want to get these games out faster. So we know right there she's saying something that's not true. Either I want these games faster is disingenuous because there's no way to actually make that happen. Or if they do happen, they're low quality, right? Outsourced development, offshored development, or they're not actually coming out faster. Here's the really big problem is all of this creates a bathtub in the production pipeline akin to the 2022 bathtub. But the big problem now is you've got to launch your next generation console sometime in this bathtub. 2027 or 2028, and you have no capability to deliver new games. So I don't know where the hell the launch titles for Project Helix are coming from.
Oh my. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
And that spec's not complete. So no one I don't believe anyone has the SDK yet. So the best thing they're going to do is do last minute ports of Xbox Series X games that they built over into this new thing. And granted, there's going to be some parallelism and some linearity. It's maybe not going to be as big a jump, but you're going to have problems. They're not going to be defect free. I mean, and they're going to be, and granted, nothing in the gaming industry is defect free now, but you're definitely going to be ridden with a higher percentage rate of bugs, a higher defect density than you would have had if your teams had properly had the SDK. These studios are going to be forced to push these games out in an unready state. And while this is going on, right, this is all going on around this chorus that it's a reset, it's a return of Xbox. I'm like, none of your assertions and claims are passing the smell test. So either this is the biggest long con Ocean's 11 type setup that I've ever seen. And again, what's the sinister part that's underneath it is I think you're fattening up studios. You're cutting heads so they're not as expensive, which means they will be better priced for you to offload them. And you are giving the appearances that they're going to have games ready. And so you're going to have them like develop, but you're also going to off track them and make them do a vertical slice that plays like a demo so that when you parade them for sale, they're lower priced and it appears that they actually have a game. And you're going to promise to grant some funding to go along with that game in an effort to sell it off. One of the key problems you have is you've given away IPs up to this point that you were okay with giving away. But now you're going to start cutting into bone, where if you're going to give up some of these IPs, they're actually impactful. Like, how are you going to sell Bethesda off without its IP? Now, maybe that makes it easier to sell and offload because the IP goes along with it. So again, maybe there's some poker going on there. Then what do you retain? I guess you retain Call of Duty, because I definitely think part of the hijinks is you're planning on offloading Bethesda either piecemeal or wholesale, and you're probably planning on offloading Blizzard as well.
So
you're gonna keep Activision / Call of Duty, which you may as well just rename Activision to Call of Duty Studios. Like, I don't even know what game we're playing. No, just call them Call of Duty Studios.
Just COD Studios.
Yeah. And you're gonna keep King and you're gonna keep Mojang.
That'd be funny. We got Halo Studios, we got Call of Duty Studios. What games do they make?
So here's my thing about Halo, right? So the word on the street now is that Halo Combat Evolved was part of a triumvirate of games that they were focused on releasing as part of like this phase, right? But 2 of those games have failed. And the approach on Halo Combat Evolved is, well, we got to get something out. So we need to push out the one thing that wasn't a complete failure. So people have actually been pulled away from the failing projects to shore up Halo Combat Evolved to make sure that there was at least one success. Here's my problem with Halo Studios. You have continued to put your faith in this studio, which now all has further rumors that the toxic environment that was part of the offloading of Bonnie, whatever her name was, and some of her leadership, right? Those were the people you got out last time. Now we're getting word that the toxic environment still remains. You're pushing out Halo Combat Evolved, which I contend, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to play that game. So I don't think it's going to sell that well. And now you're left in this state where this studio that you have continued to put your faith in for what is heading towards 20 years now has shown a routine performance of being incapable of managing this IP and this franchise and doing anything successful. So in this realm of where Asha is, doing slash and burn, why in the world would you continue? Because it's an expensive studio. It's not a cheap studio. Why in the world would you continue throwing money at that studio who has proven that they have an incapability to revive the Halo franchise?
I mean, I don't have an answer. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I don't know why they would try. I don't know why they bought them in the first place. So let's start there, because that's something that still baffles me to this day, is why they even purchased them in the first place. It doesn't make any sense.
Halo Studios 343?
No, not them. Why did they
Bethesda.
purchase Bethesda? Like, you did all of this, and it's crazy that for 10 years, Phil got free unlimited access to any amount of money that his ass wanted. And now they're in a position where they can't pay for any of it. Like, Josh, I contend
that there's going to be a book or memoirs that's something titled like, or some type of case study book or something that's entitled like how one man bamboozled a multi-trillion-dollar company into spending north of $100 billion for 13 years, convincing them that there was a payoff.
It doesn't make sense, and if somebody like me, who probably is just maybe a little bit above average or maybe a little below average, like, can look at it and go, you know what, y'all probably shouldn't buy them, and they do it anyways, and then later on down the road, you're like, haha, yep, told you shouldn't have bought them, you fucking idiots. And then we get told, well, you shouldn't be talking about people like that because they just lost their jobs. This is a sad day. Yeah, it's a sad day because they did the damn thing they weren't supposed to do. Like, but we told them that, we said that, and our whole legal system, or FCC rather, got dog walked in court, but that's neither here nor there. Like, the deals that they made, both ABK and Bethesda, should have never gone through. I knew it. Everybody else knew it. The FCC knew it. The EU knew it. The deals should have never, ever been done. And
right. So just one little teeny tiny. It's the commission this fall, whose authority this fell under was the FTC.
FTC, not the FCC. Sorry. The fellas at the freaking FCC. Sorry,
and Josh has it right in chat, right? He says, they rushed the Bethesda deal because Sony was getting exclusive Bethesda games. They were terrified of Starfield being PS exclusive. So I'm not sure what deals went through, but yeah, I mean, the rumblings were that Sony was prepping or either had offered to make exclusivity deals for certain Bethesda titles. Xbox was terrified of that happening. And so this, I mean, look, there's
Deathloop,
a part.
I think, was one of them.
Yeah. There's a part of this strategy that I absolutely get. And I have definitely advocated before, right, in my own businesses, to say, why would we continuously make piecemeal deals with a company and that we're constantly going back to, instead of establishing some type of, long-term partnership or acquiring them or whatever. So, like, I get that. Like, look, why am I going to get up, every other morning and milk the cow? Why don't I just buy the cow, right?
Sure.
But then when you put it in combination with all the other stuff that was going on, it just falls over. Like, kind of, I guess maybe a question is like, why do you buy Bethesda and continue to let games be multi-platform? Right? Why would you not buy Bethesda and go ahead and make everything exclusive from that point?
That's the other thing. Like, everybody was like, they're going to make Call of Duty exclusive. They're going to make Call of Duty exclusive. Like, if they're not even making all Bethesda games exclusive, what the hell do you have in your mind thinking that they're going to make Call of Duty exclusive? They can't afford to. They can't afford to with... And this should have been the first thing that people keyed in on. Like, they can't afford to do the things necessary to make this deal work. They shouldn't have done it in the first place. And these are the out the 3,200 employees that are about to go are because of these decisions. The heavy investment in Game Pass. Josh mentioned it in the chat that they wanted to put games in Game Pass. Like, heavy fear, I guess, that Bethesda was going to have Starfield be exclusive. Like, yeah, that could have happened, and you would have lost out on one title for a year because it would have eventually came, just like Deathloop did. And instead, you spent $7 billion to acquire Bethesda? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's about as dumb as PlayStation acquiring Bungie as a response to you buying ABK. Those are same levels of idiocy. At least in my opinion. It has a GDK, but my point is that if the console... Oh, that's you.
Yeah, Corey was mentioning, what did he say? Isn't Helix a PC, so I don't think they can have an SDK. So my first response is they don't have an if it is a PC, it doesn't have an SDK, there's still a GDK associated with Xbox games on PC, in air quotes. So like I said, the point is if you have a studio that is making an Xbox console game, and then you tell them, hey, now, like so Obsidian, like pencils down. Well, Obsidian's not the great case because they're starting new. But my point is, anybody who has something in flight who is making a game for an Xbox console, that's not the version that they're going to put on Helix if Helix is a PC, right? They're just going to do the PC version. But you're doing a PC version for a spec that's not finalized yet. So you have elements of the code that you don't know. You don't know what the abstraction layer is going to look like. You don't know what certain additions are going to be made or stripped out. You don't know what operating system is going to it, right? There's a ton of unknowns, right, associated with the thing. But my biggest unknown with Helix is, like, we're of the supposition that it's a PC. But even before the whole Asha Sharma thing, things that I was looking at and things that they were announcing, things that Jason Ronald mentioned, it was like, I don't know. I'm not as convinced of this theory that we have that it is what I will call a PC first device with a console subsystem, right, for the purposes of playing backwards compatible games. Because of the security and the licensing and the way the thing needs to be locked down, I think it is actually more likely that it is a console first device that then sandboxes you into a PC environment. And so under that model, for instance, you'll unpack the thing, you'll boot it up. What you're going to see is the successor to the Xbox Series X UI, right? The Xbox dashboard. You will have a tile that says Epic Games, right? Or Ubisoft or Good Old Games, right? And when you launch that, it's going to sandbox you into a Windows 11 environment where you can access those games. But the parent system is the Xbox console system that is highly secure and locked down and doesn't allow you to do a bunch of stuff. And whatever goes on inside the Windows shell, right, can't traverse out of that Windows shell and disrupt other things and be hacked and promote malicious code and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know if that's right, but my point is I've considered that maybe this is not a PC first device, that it is a console first device that sandboxes you and launches you from a tile right into a Windows sandboxed environment. So it's the reverse of kind of how we've been thinking about it. Again, that's just my theory.
So one of the other things we were going to talk about tonight was the backwards compatibility, and so this kind of feeds into that. I actually think that the backwards compatibility stuff leads me to believe it's way more PC than it is console.
Because yeah, I'm sorry. Thrifty, who did this?
I did this.
Ocean's 11.
I did this. I did this, damn it.
Bruh, that is awesome. That is awesome.
I did this. Here's my Canva. I did this.
The only thing I would say is, like, it would be even funnier if you could change the cast names out to the actual names.
Oh, that'd be so good. But yeah, I did that.
That is great, though. You gotta put that in the Discord so I can grab that.
It was pretty easy. It took But yeah, see, it's nice, guys. We're friendly here. We can give them all like roles and leads in the movie. It's great. But yeah, I figured you'd like that. So we are talking about the backwards compatibility stuff tonight. That's actually our last topic, which is good because it's already 11:05. So briefly, we will talk about this because I think we see, at least to me, this points to the direction of, hey guys, get ready. Because pretty soon we're making all of this stuff available to you on PC. It's because we're such good people, and it's because we care about game preservation. No, it's a pacifier in your mouth so you don't react the way the Sony fanboys did and the way the Sony people are reacting right now when it comes to physical versus digital. We want you to be fully capable to make the switch as seamlessly as possible because you're about to get a PC with an Xbox logo on it. And
absolutely, it's a honeypot.
Like, that's just what it feels like to me, man. It feels like
the Xbox fanboys will fall for the trap just like they always do. They'll be led to the slaughter. But yes, so the theory that I expressed before was a majority primarily technical theory that is in a box on the shelf right now. But yes, I agree with you that this announcement today about backwards compatibility on PC, I'm like, doesn't that absolutely seem to pave the way for, hey, your backwards compatibility is now going to be on PC, so here you go, enjoy Project Helix. It's Windows 11 in a box, and have a nice day. You've bought your last console with the Series X. If you want to play your legacy games, you can play them on this shell on a PC, and we'll continue forward from here on PC. And yes, Josh, PC players absolutely abhor the Windows Store. It is a travesty and a heresy and a pox upon all humanity. People who do that should be professionally embarrassed, but it seems like Microsoft and Xbox are beyond shame.
Oh, they have none. They have none. So I will say this, as much to my ignorance, because I really just didn't know. I didn't know that outside of Steam and Epic, when I first got a PC, I didn't know that you could actually buy games. And GOG, because that's where I knew I was getting Diablo from. I didn't know you could actually buy games from the Windows Store. I didn't know I thought that was just for I thought it was basically a mobile store just on your PC. Like it was where you went to go get the Microsoft Word apps.
For crap apps. It's where people send apps to die. It's like, it is clearly literally where people send apps when it's clear that they don't give a shit. Where do you get iTunes from now? From the Windows Store, because Apple don't give a shit. Right? HyperX, Thrustmaster, where do you get some of their apps? In the Windows Store, because they don't really give a shit. Like if you insist that you want to buy stuff from the old UWP store, then go right ahead. Like you don't want to come here and get your downloads like directly from us here, fine. But don't complain to us about it because we don't care.
Right. That seems to be their idea on most things. Listen, you want to complain about AI? We don't care. You want to complain about us burning money? Yeah, we don't care. You want to complain about us buying all this stuff and then not doing anything with it for years and then selling all of it off or trying to sell all of it off? Yeah, we don't care. Like it just seems like that's their MO. But Asha's come in and she at least tries to make the community feel good while she's taking advantage of you. And so I'm telling you, and I've said it before and people think I'm nuts. She is freaking brilliant. She is absolutely brilliant.
She gives you the reach around before she steps on your balls with her high heels.
And you feel warm and fuzzy the whole time. And you're like, wait, what just happened? Whoa. Now I'm divorced with the alimony. I don't know what the fuck. What just happened? Like I don't mean she's good in the sense of like altruistic. I mean good in the sense of she's really good at deceiving. She's really good at making people feel one way when she is really kicking your ass the other direction.
So one of the things I've mentioned, and I don't know if people catch it, but like especially when you look at the reset email, she is very, very, very good about giving you a transparency fact that only Xbox and Microsoft would know. But what you don't realize is that is the distraction and the decoy round. right? As you continue to read through, your mind is still rearward focused on that thing that you just read. We lost 64 cents for every $1 that we invested. For the $100 billion and you're doing the math and you're like, that means that they've lost $64 billion out of the $100 billion, right? So preoccupied that when you get to the things that I talked about, that when you get to we're going to get all these studios to focus on this thing, you ignore the fact that they've laid off like a chunk of people from those studios and they've got 1,600 more to go. And you don't process the fact that, like, all the stuff that I talked about, right? That, oh, that means that there's a production pipeline bathtub coming in 2027, 2020, like back half of 2027, 2028, and will persist until 2029. Right? She's very, very good about stringing like shock and awe facts in those communiques. And so that when she does the double speak, people wind up sidestepping past it. That is her superpower, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Sarah did a little bit of that. She wasn't able to keep it going. Early on, she did pretty good with that. But right around the time of the announcement, not even the big press tour of it, but the original announcement of the ROG Ally X, that whole thing was her downfall. That she was unequipped a million different ways from Sunday to talk about that. And they had her everywhere in interviews talking about it. And it just never worked out well. Somebody was always having to come back and kind of correct her or offer some subtle little, like, this is an Asus product, this is not an Xbox. Like, there were whole, like, social media threads about this shit. Asus at one point I thought had to come out and, like, clarify stuff about it. Like, so that whole thing was her downfall. But prior to that, she was very good at saying one thing, veiling the truth within what she said, but making people think she gave them the golden nugget of knowledge. And it was always like, you're missing the point. Look at the way she's acting. Look at the way she's redirecting. Look at she's not actually answering her question. Like, I was on her rear end every interview she did, because people would be like, man, it was a good interview. Really loved, like, did y'all see what she did? It was so great. Did you see what she said? And then I'd look at it and go, she's lying. She's lying her ass off. And she's not doing a very good job of it. Asha comes in and I'm like, I know she's lying, but I feel like I still want to believe her. Like, I know you're full of shit, but your delivery is believable as hell. And so that's my thing with Asha.
We're going to see how it goes, but one of the analogs that she presents to me is, I feel like she comes off very much like Marissa Mayer, when Marissa Mayer was plucked out of Google and propped up as CEO of Yahoo. Young, professional, like under 40, right? Like, charismatic, tech person who sounds like they know what they're talking about and sounds like they're but of course Marissa Mayer toppled over. I think the jury was out that Marissa Mayer was much less talented than she came off as, and that people were led to believe, which there are certain aspects of Asha that are like that, right? Like this whole thing about like, oh, she's an AI. Asha is not an AI person. She is not an AI domain expert. She does not understand AI at the technical level. She understands the marketing jargon and she understands the sales pitches that she needs to make. She does not understand, MPC. She doesn't understand API. She doesn't understand, she doesn't understand prompting. She doesn't understand AI engineering. Like all of the stuff that people are pitting on her, she's not that deep in AI, right? I'm pretty sure I'm deeper in AI than she is, and I am a layman, right, in AI. So I don't ascribe that much of that vector to her character, but like I said, we're gonna see. I think this is a lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of salesmanship and a lot of ulterior motives, and this whole thing of like every 100 days, like again, that is part of the orchestration, right? Because there's a mislead them for the first 50 And then in the back 50, let's do all the bad stuff, right? That we damn well knew we were going to do in the first 50, right? But we placated and played, right? We placated and, you know, and pandered to people, right? And then that's what, you know, gives us the pass, as the evangelization of the Xbox brand has always done, right? And served for them, you know, making the fans feel important so that the fans give them a pass when they do dumb stuff or bad stuff.
That's been a... I said I wasn't going to bring anything up about the physical versus digital, but let me say this real quick. It has nothing to do with a stance, a position, or anything. It is a stark contrast when Xbox does something negative versus when PlayStation does something negative from within their player base. One, the player base comes out and generally defends their statements. Oh, that's not what she meant. She's going to end up doing this. Or, guys, did y'all hear what she said? She's going to end up bringing back this. Sure, they're closing this off, but guys, it's going to be great. Just a whole reset. It's this and that. Look at Project Helix. And they just keep parroting the talking points. Generally speaking, at least the PlayStation fans that I hang out with are at least going, you know what? I can see why people are pissed. I can see why folks are angry. And then you have others who are like, no, I'm angry. This is stupid. And they're being vocal about it. And then you have folks who are like, well, I was angry, but ain't really shit I can do about it. So I have to make the choice to either keep gaming or stop or go to a different platform. Awesome. But even those people, which is probably where I fall, even those people were at least vocal about it for a little bit. Like, you won't come here and, generally speaking, you won't come here and hear me defending a boneheaded ass action that Sony does. I just won't. I'm not paid by them, and I don't give a shit.
So let me ask you this, Sophie, because this is genuinely like a question that I have that I've found like weird. It's weird to me that, you know, what I've consistently heard from the PlayStation fan base is, we don't need executives to talk to us. We don't need the parasocial thing. We don't need blah 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 blah. But on this topic, and I'm not flogging the topic. I'm flogging the preferred communication style, right, of the platform. I see a lot of, and I Push Square read an article today that said this, right? I see a lot of like, you know, they should be talking to us. There should be more communication. They should be, and I just feel like, and I'm probably over-interpreting it, but I'm like, but you guys have always said you don't want what Xbox does. You know, and I feel like in this moment in time, that's exactly what people are asking. Like that like Herman Hulst or Nishino or something needs to come out and like say something.
In this corner, weighing this. Come on out. No, and I think there's a level of bewilderment with it. There's a level of, we're curious. We want to know what led to this, but we're not going to get a straight answer anyways. So, I don't know. That's why I'm not even diving into it tonight. I really like, though, that when PlayStation does something, and maybe it's because I was brought up on Jez, right? Like that was my, Jez and Salty were my introduction into like gaming, video game podcasts. And so those two guys have never really defended Sony one way or the other. It was just a situation where Xbox was screwing up a hell of a lot more than Sony, and Sony at the time was making amazing decisions and doing great, and they were soaring and all this other stuff, and people were climbing over themselves to buy PS5s, and it was a hell of a time. I'll never forget Thrash's video where he's like, every single one of y'all blanks say that I need to start doing negative PlayStation content. He goes, I will once they start doing negative stuff. He goes, what am I supposed to talk about? Their games are selling great. Their consoles are selling great. They're making more money than they ever have. What's the bad side? And like, that's always stuck with me because like, yeah, what the hell are you supposed to do? But I can say that whenever something that the community disagrees with, they're at least quicker to go, hey, I don't like that. That's not something I want. And I like that because at least Nate says it, if we put our money into this, we should at least be a little bit concerned or a little bit involved in like where it's going, at least in my opinion. Like that's why it's hard for me to think what like the uber casual does, where they buy a game off the shelf, they go home, they absolutely fall in love with it, and they beat it and they put it down, and that's all it does. They don't check on the studio, they don't check on the composers of the music, who designed the combat, they don't check on who did the art direction, they don't care. They bought the game, they loved the game, thought it was amazing, might be their game of the year, and they don't know jack shit about it outside of that. And that's weird to me, because in every avenue of my life that I have loved something, that I have been passionate about something, that I have told people about something, I can generally tell you, or at least carry on a knowledgeable conversation about it. Good example for me is rap music. I love rap music. I have my favorites, and within those favorites, I can carry on a pretty decent conversation when it comes to their discography, when it comes to where they were from, where they're born, who was their like manager, who got them signed, like how that all came to be, some of their backstory. Like, I dive into things that I care about. There are a lot of gamers that don't. And that's always been something that's weirded me out. So when you have decisions that are being made that don't necessarily trickle down to the casual, and I'm talking about, like I said, the guy that just goes, gets the game, goes home and plays it. I'm not talking about most of us here currently. But when you get to the casual and these decisions start trickling down to them, and you see and you go online, you're like, wait, what? What do you mean PlayStation is shutting down the PS3 store and the Vita store? That's weird. I still have a PS3 at my house that I play. Because certain people don't make the jump. Certain people just stay on an old console and that's all they really use. Not a lot, but some, because they're the super casual. They got into gaming at the PS3 and stayed there. I know somebody who's still rocking the Xbox 360. Like, loves the dang console, has no reason to upgrade, doesn't care, and doesn't want to play anything else. Like, those people exist, and so when the news finally reaches them and they go online, I like the fact that even from PlayStation creators, you'll mostly see them calling out bad decisions, or decisions that the community in general thinks are bad. And that's just something you don't get from Xbox, and you haven't gotten from Xbox in so long. And I think that's why they were able to get away, and that's why Phil was able to get away with so much, because the community was just set up full of defenders. Colt Eastwood, the Parises, it was insane to me.
I mean, you did have it, right? You had people like me doing it, but what would happen is then we would get excommunicated and excised, right, and vilified,
right,
by the community. We were called like not true Xbox fans because I was dissatisfied about paying $500 for a console that was supposed to be the most powerful console ever, to be delivered games that were running at 4K 30 and being told that those were a creative choice so that it could track fucking sandwiches, right, 50,000 light years on the other side of the universe, because that was important. Like, so when I would speak up about that, then I would get dogpiled, right, by Xbox fanboys. I would, and you would get personalities, which is why I hold them accountable. They get mad when I do, which is why you get personalities like Ryan McCaffrey, who I used to have a lot of respect for as an actual journalist, right, who would come out and say things like, this is proof to me that the Starfield 4K 30 was just concern trolling. And I'm like, that not only is that super immature of you, it is radically irresponsible of you as a journalist, right? My big hang up with influencers like that are, and it's a cadre of them who assert that they are consumer advocates and that they always, advocate on behalf of the gamer. I'm like, but you guys don't. Like, you guys advocate on behalf of a gamer that doesn't include me, and the gamers you are advocating for are literally 9.85% of the market. You're not advocating for the majority. And I'm like, I'm okay if you want to advocate for them, but stop asserting that you are some righteous, holier than thou, right, Jesuit who is out here advocating on behalf of the needy and the sick and the weak, right? Like, and then as you're doing it, disclaiming, asserting, marginalizing, and dismissing the wants of the other consumers. I'm like, that is what tells me that you're on a political agenda to pander, right, and to curry favor from a rabid fan base that behaves like hostages who are willing to be in abusive relationships with their captors. Like, you're not advocating on behalf of the market responds away because that's what the demand is. So if you're advocating on behalf of the group that's in the minority, you're actually advocating on behalf of the group that is not the market signifying what it is that the majority want. But yet you're a consumer advocate and you're somehow a hero. I'm like, get out of my face with that crap. Get off my porch. And then this assertion that, like, because you guys do that work, somehow you're hard workers. I'm like, Jesus, man. Like, again, I mean, that's the mentality that, I'm sorry, now I'm on my political, like, that's the mentality that in my mind, like, signals, telegraphs the downfall of society in America and in Western culture. It's just the uneducated and the unintelligent, jumping on political platforms and misleading people and Pied Pipering the easily gullible, down a path in the face of data, objectivity, and math that just absolutely tells a different story and indicates that the truth of the matter is not what these guys are selling. They're just a total 2020s version of the snake oil salesman, right, from the Old West. Sorry, were we discussing a specific topic?
That's why I'm like, what? We were, but I think we did good wrapping it up there. Shuhei Yoshida has started a new podcast, by the way. Yoshi P Radio 404. All right. Yeah, it's a once a month indie enthusiast podcast. World's Indie Uncle as our host from 404 Studio to bring you heartwarming indie game studios. That's pretty cool. That's kind of fun. Adventures of Elliot. Oh, hey, real quick. We got like 15 minutes left before we got to go, unless you have to go right now.
No, I'm good. Go ahead and wrap up.
Okay, so here's the wrap up. And we'll do it now. What game or game genre do you always find yourself going back to? This goes back to like our previous conversation earlier. What genre do you find yourself going back to and why? And chat, I'd like you to answer this question also. Like, what is it about that specific genre? So for me, it's JRPGs. And Adventures of Elliot has scratched that itch once again, and now it's just an open wound, and I am like headlong into all of it. Like, I saw another game tonight that is 16-bit pixel like look, and I can't wait. I shared it in the Discord. Like, it looks really good. It's called Threads of Time. Looks pretty sick. Henry shared one earlier, Lagrassi. I think that's that's a established franchise, and it's getting a new one. I've been playing Trails in the Sky FC, trying to finish that up now, and I'm just back in my bag. And I absolutely love the stories, the campiness, the over-the-top video game feel of JRPGs. Like, they are 100% unapologetically video games. And I love that. They're like Saturday morning cartoons for me. They're like, I said mashed potatoes and pizza earlier, or mashed potatoes and gravy and pizza, not together, but like I love a good mashed potatoes and gravy, and I love a good pizza. A pizza from anywhere. It could be stone fire, brick oven, regular old Pizza Hut pizza. Like, I love pizza. We make homemade pizza here. My wife uses ground up. She grinds her own flour and her own wheat berries, and we make our own pizza crust. Like, I love it. It's such a comfort food. It's such a thing that takes me back to that moment of just pure gaming is what I feel like when I play JRPGs. It's something that won't, I hope at least, never goes away. And the fact that I can see the same 8 different origins all turn out different, because in JRPGs there's 8 different ways your character starts. It's really funny. You should look them up. One of them is amnesia, by the way. And it's there's like a whole like diagnostic tree you can follow to see how your story is going to go. It's great. But JRPGs have always been that kind of comfort food. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. That's been that thing I go back to, and up until Wolverine, when it releases, I don't know if I'll play something that's not a JRPG unless it's Legends with Josh, or maybe a game of FC26 here or there. Or maybe I get a little bit of Battlefield in to kind of break up the heavy story and the heavy moments in those JRPGs, because I guarantee you they will have some. But it's just, I feel like I'm back in that bag. So, Logic, that was my answer. What about you, man? What's a genre that you kind of keep going back to, and why?
I mean, there's really like a few, because I would say, shooters, racing games, sports games, action RPGs, and flight sims / space sims. And each of those is for a particular reason. I'll just go ahead, because we're at the end of the show, and stick with shooters. Both first person and third person. I think because shooters are the closest thing to like the video game equivalent of riding a motorcycle. I guess short of games where you actually ride a motorcycle, or racing games, I would say. And what I mean by that is, when I'm in the zone on a first-person shooter, I am very focused. The main reason I continue to ride motorcycles, for a decade or so was, it was pure, right? You get to the end of the workday, you put your boots on, you walk out to the bike, you put your helmet on, you get on the bike. You're transiting home. You're not concerned about the bullshit at work. You're not concerned about what your wife or your girlfriend yelled at you about. Like, you are hyper focused on operating that machine, right, and putting it through its paces and getting from point A to point B, and the fun that you have along the way. And that's kind of where I am with shooters, right? It is probably one of the most pure, sessions of gaming. Kind of like you mentioned, right? It's I'm focused. It's very mechanical. I'm not worried about like a bunch of other stuff. I'm not thinking about a bunch of other stuff.
Nope.
But yet it is also I'm a huge systems player. Like, I love systems of systems and subsystems and metas. And there is that in first person shooters. You will often hear me talk about, when I'm describing experience in shooters, you will often hear me talk about the geometry of the battle space, the symmetry of the battle space. You will often hear me talk about battle space management. And so, with Destiny 2, right, which is one of my, key examples where I talk about the combat, right, there's arenas where there's verticality, there's cover, there's the ability to change the geometry. There are enemies that change the geometry. Your class, right, can radically change movement and how you manage battle space, whether or not you have AoE weapons or point fire weapons, whether or not you have weapons that can do stagger on an enemy. And in that battle, right, when you're fighting, hordes or multiple enemies, my point of the geometry of the battle, there's space that you have to clear out, space that you have to keep clear so that you have like an escape route to go to. When you watch Top Gun, right, and you see that scene where Maverick and Viper is debriefing Maverick, and I think it's think it's Viper, maybe Jester, but I think it's Viper.
No, it's Charlie.
Oh no,
it's Charlie.
It's Charlie,
debriefing
right.
in the room, talking about Aircraft One performing a split S when.
Yes.
Sorry, I know the whole movie. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Yeah.
Continue.
And I think one of the, I can't remember who it is, but one of them says, better to select a zone, hit Viper. The deck and bug out and fight another day. Right. Hit an escape vector.
And then Hollywood leans in and goes, "That's the gutsiest move I've ever seen, man." And then backs off.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And so that's kind of what you have to do, right? In a shooter, right? In especially when you're in an arena battle with multiple enemies, you have to keep conscious, like, where is my escape vector? Like, if things get bad, if this moment, right, this next 30 seconds of fight unfolds in a certain way, what is my escape vector? And so that kind of systematic, like, thinking, as you're going through, and then selecting which weapons you use, what is the sequence of weapons, how do you do weapon setups, right? How do you hit them with, like, this weapon, boom, 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 and then switch, right? All of that kind of stuff that goes into, first-person shooters is something that I consistently come back to.
I got to download Battlefield 6. This sounds like I got to re-download that. You got me excited. Like, I'm thinking about when Isu and I played and when I had Cosmic on and Nelson, and we're all sitting there, we're all trying to, like, go into this one room where we're like, it's hot. And then I was like, is it still hot? And I go around the corner, I get killed. And I'm like, yep, still hot. Never mind.
Yeah. And then you're talking about another layer of complexity, right? Now you're talking about, one where maybe there's some cover shooter aspects to it, where there are actually kind of real world tactics involved in it. Yeah. Where, things, Battlefield 6, certain fights, unfold like at a little slower pace than something like a Call of Duty does, which is all about like reaction and short span tactics, that type of thing. And so, yeah, there's one of my favorite games. I said first person shooter, but it can easily cross over into third person and cover shooters. I loved, I was actually kind of very funny as we've been going through all this, physical media stuff. One of my great topical cases is how I used to play Rainbow Six Rogue Spear. And I won't get into all the licensing and EULA stuff that's, associated with the physical discussion, but my point is that, like, yeah, I used to come home and play on my home LAN with two of my buddies. We used to come back from training like every day and play this game. I had multiple PCs in my home LAN, and we would load the game up and fight in the space using real world tactics and stuff, and doing call outs and communicating and all that stuff. It was so awesome. So yeah, I love all that stuff in the shooter genre.
Yeah, and shooters are something for me that I was super big into when I had more time to be good at them. and now that I don't have enough time to be good at them, JRPGs don't really require me to quote unquote get good. So, because I can break my JRPG just by grinding and leveling up, and I can't break a first person shooter that way. At least not one that has the multiplayer attached to it or whatnot. Like, that's actually one of the reasons I think I fell in love so much with Outriders, was because it did add that extra OP layer to it with the special abilities. And so it was a third person shooter, but you were able to level up your character, level up your weapons, level up all your stuff, level up your abilities, and interchange everything. And so, like, I remember doing fights or doing missions and running the gauntlet and stuff. And then afterwards, me and my pod would sit there and we would freaking, like, 20 minutes would go by and we've just been chit chatting in the party chat while we're like, okay, do I use this upgrade? Or, hey, I got this new thing. Can I put that here? What does that decrease when this increase? And there was such a level of strategy behind almost every debriefing. When you got later game, you were looking for certain specific objects, but it was really good and it was really fun. But man, hearing you talk, that's why I love asking these questions, because I always get really good, passionate answers. And I love that. Like, you got me excited, and I don't even like first person shooters that much. And I'm sitting here going, damn, I need to get this shit back. I need to start playing again. It says, I miss LAN parties. Me and my friends are now too old and too busy to bring 8 guys together. You know what, man? I feel that. I have not played. I get to play in-person video games with somebody probably once a year, and it's my brother-in-law, and we normally play a game or two of Madden. And that's about the extent of it. Outside of that, everything else that I play multiplayer is... Well, let me rephrase that. With adults. I have children, and I play Minecraft with them. But, like, with adults, it's a... with my friends, it's very much just online now, and that sucks. But, hell, it is what it is. Speaking of it is what it is, I got 5 minutes before I am pulling the plug on this. So, in those 5 minutes, Logic, where can folks find you?
So I'm actually going to use my 5 minutes to do something else. 2 topics that have come up tonight, which Thrifty, I got to pitch you to scribble in your notebook, because I think they would be good sessions for you and your panel and guests to do in future episodes. One of those is what games, and they can either be games or genres, or you could do both, or you could use one topic one night, one topic the other night. What games are there that you initially hated and bounced off of, and maybe you've even tried to come back to like more than once, like you've tried to come back to it twice, but now you have finally fallen in love with them. So that's one. Like I said, it could be games or it could be genres. The other thing is, gosh dang it, I knew I was going to lose this one. You could pick a genre, or or however you want to define a game type or whatever. And you could do what is your Mount Rush, like if you have a Mount Rushmore of a given genre, what faces would be on it. Okay. And I would say expand it. When I do this with myself, I've said, my Mount Rushmore has 5 faces on it instead of 4. So you can play with that if you want to. But yeah, I think those would be good. Those would be great, fertile questions for a conversation on your podcast.
I like those. I really do like talking about gaming, and those usually start at the beginning, and they definitely take an hour to an hour and a half sometimes just to get through the opening questions. And those are 2 where you could almost just put a whole podcast behind them. Like if I get myself and 2 other people to answer the Mount Rushmore of a given genre or of their favorite genre, Lord help, dude. Could you, like, the amount of time that we could spend on that would be a hell of an episode. I'd love that. Get somebody. That'd be great.
I like Josh's riff too, and I'm probably going to riff on Josh's riff. Riff says, or the Mount Rushmore of gaming. And I think what Josh means is, like characters, franchises, IP, like who would be on that Mount Rushmore. I would also say, I think it would be fun to do a Mount Rushmore of gaming, meaning people in gaming, right? So across, gaming leaders.
So like Sakaguchi.
Yes. Yeah. I think that would be super
He's on my list. Like he is somebody who has been so influential for me, just given the genre that I love and the franchise that is my favorite. Like he's literally the father of Final Fantasy. So like I can't leave him off at all. Then you know what I mean? Like there's stuff like that. There's I wish I could put Kurt Schilling on there, but I think I get laughed off the stage. But what he tried to do and failed at, not because the game sucked, but because they spent too much damn money on it, Kingdoms of Amalur, a baseball pitcher getting into video game design, getting into game development, and making a competent game that's actually fun. Like, dude took a hell of a risk. He might be a picture on the way up to Mount Rushmore. But he was one of the names that stood out just now, but mainly Sakaguchi, Akira Toriyama,
don't give all your picks away.
Yeah, sorry.
What I was going to say is I think that conversation would be super interesting if you did it. And yes, I'm gonna copy a little off of Kind of Funny Games Daily, KFG. What you could do is you could do that as a round robin with your panel, where once a person picks a name to put on their Mount Rushmore, the other people can't pick it.
Ooh, almost like a draft setting. Ooh, that'd be real fun.
Exactly. Like drafting for Mount Rushmore personalities in gaming.
Okay, guys, during the month of August, July is, we have Henry on next week. During the month of August, I will try to get a panel of 4 together, me and 3 others, to have that discussion. And it's just going to be a draft of your top 4 favorite franchises. And we're going to do a snake draft. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And man, and I'm sure we're going to end up dovetailing, and I'll probably need somebody to help keep me on track. But that sounds like one hell of an episode that I would absolutely love. And currently speaking, the month of August is our last quote-unquote slower month until we get into major game releases. So it'd be a fun time to kind of cap off kind of the slower season of gaming. So I'll take.
Yeah, and then you could have if you can get a scribe, right, to keep track, right, of what everybody's picks are, or ask people to keep track of themselves. Then what you can do is if you wrap up the show early enough, then you have a poll and have the chat vote on whose Mount Rushmore they like the most.
Ooh, oh, that's really good. You need to help me figure out how to get one of those. Oh no, because I wouldn't know their picks. Okay, I was gonna say have me get one of those like rating boards where you can like drag the S tier rankings. And you can like drag and drop the different games and stuff, but I wouldn't be able to predetermine what everybody's gonna choose, so I wouldn't be able to do that. But that sounds like a hell of a show.
And again, I'm copying some of those ideas off Kind of Funny Games, so I don't want to pitch them as if they're like some original, innovative epiphany that I've had. But yeah.
Listen, in the Magic space, they do shows like this all the time. Like, it's who's your favorite legendary creature card from all sets or whatnot. The Command Zone just did one on that. Like, or who's the top 10 cards from this year block. Like, it's just something that a lot of people do. Ranking videos do really well. And I just think that would be a hell of a conversation anyways. Like, that sounds great. Oh shoot, dude, you just reminded me. Who the heck is the oh, that's giving one more away. Never mind. Grim, stop it. I was literally about to talk about one of my favorite composers, but I can't remember the guy's name, and so I was gonna like give some hints, but once I say the name, I know somebody's gonna remember it. I think I remember it now, but I'm gonna hold that close to my chest. All right, that's the show. Do you want to say anything else before, like where they can actually find you?
It's all good. It's all good. We can go ahead and close out.
Okay. Well, you can find his stuff in the description. His link is there to Rounding Off Infinity. That is his channel. He's at about 350 subscribers now. Go over there. If you're not a subscriber over there, go do that. He does a great show. He very knowledgeable about the video game industry. Always a pleasure to have him on. Henry had to move from this week to next week because his family wanted to stay on vacation for an extra day. How rude. How dare they? But no, we will have Henry on next week. That is another gamer's gamer. So he'll be on and we'll have a good time. Thank you all for showing up. Hit the like button. Please, for the love of God, after this goes out, if you're still here, that means you like what I'm doing. Come back through and hit the hype, please. It helps out a lot. And so if you can do that, that would be great. And yeah, thank y'all so much. Have a good night. And we will catch you on the next one. And I'm going to time this a little wrong. We will catch you on the next one.